S2G down, and now SRG takes down the lower. So with the Fredrin, crazy. I did not expect that. We actually put up our predictions, but more on that later as we hear now from, hey, it's Stormy on the stage.
And guys, there you have it. The Swiss stage is heating up as one more home ground heroes takes their first win. First of all, Stormy, congratulations. That was an intense game. I could see everybody here at the arena. They were shaking, they were screaming. I could even hear the staff shouting. But Stormy, how are you feeling? How's everything like?
We're happy that we won today, so very grateful today.
Okay, now Stormy, before we continue on talking about today, let's talk a bit about yesterday. I feel like the opening matches of the Swiss stage came as a shock to a lot of people when you guys lost against S2G. Maybe you can share with us what really happened. Was it the nervousness? You guys weren't ready, underprepared? What happened?
I think there's just some minor mistakes behind the game yesterday. So I think this is all mistakes. So we'll just try to fix it today.
So, if you feel like the mistakes were fixed today, how did you guys manage to fix it? What discussion did you guys have last night? Did you guys stay up really late? What was going on with Selangor Giants last night?
After we lost yesterday, we straight up go to stream and the coaches stay up until 4 a.m.
Wow, 4 a.m. Okay, amazing. Now, as we all know, Upadnar has met you guys in MSC 2024, and they are still yet to get a win against the Selangor Red Giants. Now, Stormy, with this, how did you guys react when you guys saw the matchup last night?
It's quite surprising because we fight them again.
Bantu share nang.
So yeah, terkejut lah.
Bantu share nang ya.
Were you expecting this win though?
50-50.
50-50. Okay, Stormy, earlier on just now when I talked to Zorn when Vamos won, I asked him if he felt nervous or pressured playing in Malaysia. And I also saw content that you guys did with MPL MY or MLBB Esports in which you guys preferred international tournaments or playing outside of the country compared to playing in Malaysia. Why is that so? Do you feel like the pressure is higher when you're playing in your own home country?
No, we don't feel nervous at all. I think it's just an opinion. So
I see. Okay, do you love the crowd in Malaysia?
yeah, of course.
So, Stormy, last question. What do you have to say to the fans who came down for 2 days, supported Selangor Red Giants, and maybe you can ask them to continue supporting you guys?
To our fans, thanks so much for coming, especially to my mom and my family, because they weren't there yesterday, right? So they are here today. So thanks so much for coming.
The extra buff with mommy and the sister. Thank you very much, Stormy. Congratulations on that amazing win. And with that, let us show it back to the panel to break down what happened in this game against Upadnar.
Thank you, Stormy, and of course, thank you to Rose. 14 minutes and 37 seconds was the time of that game, SRG and Upadnar. For the first 5 minutes, though, it looked dire for SRG as Upadnar just danced on them. Purple buff steal with the very first buff rotation coming in from the Hayabusa.
Quite a steal, and also the level lead that was generated off to it was expected to be insane. Because at this point for Hayabusa, in TNZ's position, you're expected to double, triple, and continue to compound the amount of interest you gain just from finding these kills. And he did a great job, but at the same time, I'm surprised of how this game actually panned out, because there's a lot of losing situations that get turned over by SRG.
Yeah, 3 levels was the max between Sekai's and TNZ, and I think 5,000 between both of them. So, something to note, folks, if you're playing a situation like this and say you were the Fredrin, don't worry, because tank jungler's items are much, much cheaper than core jungle items, and that's the key here, economically speaking, how SRG were able to hold out. Another key that I would like to note is, I'm glad that we heard from Stormies, because I think he was so impactful, so significant to the turnaround, because one of the few things that's scarier than, say, Tigreal through diversion is a Fredrin through a diversion. When he's got that fully charged kit and he has the energy eruption on, that's as good as a Tigreal.
Yeah, it's like, what do I do then suddenly? A Fredrin that rushed the Athena shield to help counter the biggest problems in the Farsa, and even though Sunshine with the power spike, it's as if they didn't have enough damage to deal with the defensives of SRG.
Not just an Athena shield, brother. Plus a Radiant armor! And the tough
looks. Yep. It's great itemization here because keep in mind, it's going to be 2 magic damage. Both of them very heavy in burst. One has a lot more consistent DPS compared to the other. Well, I mean, it's relative here. As long as they drop their ults, they've got some damage. But also, just keeping in mind that Hayabusa, the main problem is that, it just takes 1 item to take him down, and it forced him into a position where he had to rush the Malefic War rather than securing his BOD early because he has to deal with this Frederick no matter what.
It's a fantastic itemization and understanding of the power spike there for SRG. Again, 5 minutes. That was how long Ufanar had a chokehold onto this game. But at 5 minutes and 30 seconds, the turtle was taken down by Sakai's. Afterwards, they got kills. Afterwards, they infiltrated the orange buff, and they continued their domination as Innocent in the goal they could hit his power spike as well. It is, again, one of the trends that we saw with the Fredrin across all the BTK matches against Turkey teams. That Fredrin might struggle in the first few minutes around Turtle 2 or Turtle 3, they'll win, and then
build this Frederick, play it in your ranked games. Do note, it is not thrill, it's swift. So you gotta make the most of your enhanced basic attacks. This is something I learned when I was a newer Frederick player is use a skill, trigger the passive. Use a skill, trigger the passive. Yep. That helps with Swift.
Yes, Swift makes it the motion a lot smoother to actually pull off compared to going for regular penetration or even just going for just raw health, right? Overall, the composition coming in from SRG's side, it's really, really hard to pull off, especially with the snowballing that TNT was able to generate from himself. The only issue with that is that TNT must wait for his cooldowns to come back off his OP Shadow Kill in particular to really punish the side lanes. Although I will say that Ulfendar's positioning in the way that they're attacking the map was kind of interesting, right? Because I think a lot of the paranoia came when they don't see Stormy. Oh, is there a diversion coming out and we're not expecting it? Should we look to clear these bushes first? And when they do, that's when SRG take advantage of that space.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like Ulfendar will play the way that they did. They understood the ticking time bomb. Wherein, if they gave SRG any room at all between minute 5 to minute 9, it's still a good amount of chance that SRG would be able to turn things around. But then, Ulfendar, they slipped. They lost that control. They lost that grip that they had, and it led to Innocent popping off. Unkillable was Innocent in this game. MVP.
He had a perfect game, and that's crazy to imagine when there's so many factors that could have messed him up. Alien could have ran at him. He could have been caught at least by the implosion coming in from Apex 47. Not to mention that, but half the time, Rosa should have been targeting him anyways with the Feathered Airstrike.
But they weren't, because most of the action was happening in mid, down to the bottom, so the lower part of the map. Where was Innocent this whole time? Elsewhere. And that's what allowed SRG to come back. So it's an understanding of their current situation being on the back foot, plus Innocent's just hyper farming. Now the question is, what was Sunshine doing? Now in hindsight, we never really looked, or the game never really looked at that laning matchup as much. So the fact that they were quiet means it benefited Innocent more than Sunshine.
It did. It really did. And I think, there was a point in the game where Ulfendar must group up together. They just don't have a choice here. And that was the big issue. Once you start grouping up and you're losing pressure, look at the attention being thrown just by Yums alone. Oh, hey, guess what? If you chase me, you get a free kill. But at the same time, they take mid-tier 1, and that compromises the position, especially for Hayabusa whenever he wants to use purple buff.
Yeah, as we look at the MVP highlights here, I think also we could put it as simple as, well, Innocent, maybe just played the better lane than Sunshine, outlaning him. I wouldn't call it as dominating. It was his tower that was broken first. It was Ulfendar able to pierce the lane of the gold laner of SRG, but SRG, again, found the right timing to tell Innocent, start playing around us. Innocent, come here, join us in the fights, and that's why he was able to get the kills. Counter punishes that they dished out.
And that takes really high game IQ, really high game sense, chemistry and communications to trust in your team and say, yeah, you know what? I'm done with this lane. You guys need me. It's time to step
Indo udah main bang, udah. Liquid tadi udah main, ini tinggal nanti RRQ jam 9 tapi. RRQ mainnya jam 9 nanti. Ketemu mantan coachnya, ketemu friend ya. Ketemu El Kabur guys.
What was necessary, and then utilizing that resource to turn it into an equalizer against Ulfendar.
It got to the point where it was so difficult for any of the frontliners of Ulfindar to find any space, and it went back to the whole Lo Yi effect. Lo Yi likes it when the roamers that she's up against are slow, when they're just crawling and prodding, and it's so easy for her to activate the duality effect to make sure that they maximize the tap. Now, the wild card is now a peril of getting, well, yeah, getting eliminated.
Liquid gimana menang? Menang. Liquid menang tadi.
Representatives, all of them.
Liquid tadi menang ya lawan KBG ya.
All the 1-1
El kabur di tim yang 4 besar di M5. Iya, di tim Spirit ya. Si El kabur. El kabur di tim Spirit.
Good news is they've avoided each other bracket-wise.
Di tim Spirit, guys. El kabur.
Oh yeah. It's great for the Malaysians.
Kegedean nggak ini suara ininya? Suara apa videonya?
Against each other.
Kegedean nggak, guys?
Probably not going to be a good time. But generally, the way that things been going on in this Swiss, I'm pretty surprised.
Baru masuk season ini masuknya dia. Abis kabur dari RRQ ke tim Spirit dia.
There are 8 teams in the 1-1 bracket at the end of the day. So what are the chances that 2 Malaysian teams are gonna face off against each other?
Crazy. In a matchup where we saw the Thorn Queen against the Mage Prodigy, Rosa versus Stormy, Ulfindar versus SRG.
Oh, suaranya yang too high. Oke.
Kecilin
Kecilin dulu.
PLMY Season 14. It is SRG that get the victory. Coming up next is another big one.
Segini cukup nggak segini? Segini cukup kah? Apa kurang kecil? Kecilin lagi lah. 13 lah ya.
Indonesia. But CFU Gaming have proven to be a worthy opponent, and they may continue another.
Segini lah ya. Segini lah ya. Segini cukup ya.
Upsets. But against Fnatic on in
Soal tadi ku naikin buat settingan di TikTok, ternyata di TikToknya sama aja nggak keluar suara dia. Makanya balik ke YouTube lagi.
If you know CFU and you watch these
Malah aku
other
patokannya
major tournaments
50%.
around our
Oh,
circuit, I'm
oke.
talking about Snapdragon Pro Series here, you know that CFU is notorious for taking
Cukup ya
down
berarti ya,
Filipino
cukup ya.
champions a peg or two.
I mean, their playstyle is interesting, I would say, right? Nobody can really pinpoint. They say aggression, but what does it mean to be aggressive?
Yeah.
What exactly is the trigger finger for them? It's
El kabur emang.
Yeah, they're a team that
Gak jelas
may
coy, El kabur
probably
cowok,
attack you with
anjay.
a lot of surprises that FNOP has to be careful of. But of course, because of what they showed yesterday, CFU definitely
Tadi
has to
nyobain
be
di
careful
TikTok,
of Fnatic
mic-nya
on.
nggak keluar, Nang.
It's gonna be an interesting one between Cambodia versus Philippines.
Mic-nya malah nggak keluar, nggak jelas,
CFU
Cok.
against FNOP. We will be back after a short break here at the M6 Swiss stage, day 2.
Numpang internasional top dia berarti iya. Di tetes suaramu nggak keluar, iya nggak keluar. Mic-nya nggak kedetek, nggak tahu dah. Ini break berapa menit ya? Breaknya berapa menit, guys? Sambil main soliter lah ya aku ya, guys. Enggak sih, kalau habis yang tim ini, yang tadi break lama itu, yang tadi lah kocak di awal bantai-bantai Falcon malah kalah. Iya, kocak itu Falcon. Nggak respect itu dia, nggak respect Bruno sama Cecilionnya dia. Padahal kan ya itu late game Bruno Cecilion tuh pasti jadi problem. Tapi dianya nggak respect kayaknya, nggak respect damage-nya sebesar itu kayak. Tapi harusnya respect lah ya, nggak mungkin nggak respect cok. Nah, kenapa muter-muter nih cok? Nah. Iya dianya nggak respect damage itu nang, nggak respect damage apa namanya, respect damage itunya, respect damage Cecilion late game tuh loh. Cecilion late game ditambah itu apa namanya, ditambah apa lagi ya, Cecilion late game Matilda tuh udah pasti rusuh itu cok. Mereka sebenarnya menit 15 harusnya bisa end itu. Yang ku lihat loh ya. Iya. Itu menit 15-an harus bisa end harusnya. Cuma ada gerakan-gerakan tambahan yang nggak perlu gitu loh dia mainnya. Gerakan-gerakan tambahannya itu loh yang bikin mereka kalah sendiri. Padahal sebenarnya kalau mereka mainnya rapi-rapi aja sih harusnya aman ya. Cuma mereka nggak rapi, endingnya jelek. Kayak gerakan-gerakan tambahan nggak perlu gitu mereka lakuin. Sehat-sehat dah. Menit 12 gak sih harusnya kalau lawan musuh yang ada hero late game? Iya, menit 12. Maksudnya menit 15 pun kalau mereka full dikit masih bisa end itu. Menit 15 masih bisa end, harusnya ya. Cuman entah apa yang dipikirkan mereka ya, bisa sampai kayak gitu. Gak ngerti juga sih aku. Soalnya paling tricky itu. Menit-menit segitu tuh tricky banget. Udah ibaratnya udah bukan masalah item lagi ya, udah masalah apa gerakan salah dikit mati udah. Kelar gamenya. Tapi kalau lawan tim Indo nggak gitu deh Neng Falcon. Ya entahlah mungkin mereka nganggap remeh mungkin. Bisa jadi. Bisa aja kan mereka nganggap remeh gitu, alah cuma tim ini doang gitu. Ya nggak sih? Bisa aja guys. Bedanya satu lagi yang nonton itu siapa? Nggak tahu dah. Di streamku kan nggak kelihatan, Ang. Aku kan cuma bisa baca komen doang kalau di sini. Nggak apa-apa sih kalau Brekele mau nonton, nggak apa-apa sih kalau paham, suruh nonton aja Nang kalau paham Nang. Kalau paham suruh paham aja ya, Kayak kalau paham kayak Kak Gem kan paham terus kan. Iya. Ya Kak Gem kan paham terus dia, Nang. Nanti gangguin aku enggak lah, masa gangguin kamu sih? Emang iya Kak siapa ya? Nama cewekmu siapa ya, Nang? Linda ya? Emang iya suka gangguin Onang, Kak? Bolehkah segangguin Onang itu? Emang boleh? Semoga sih bukan Brekele ya, semoga aja ya. Tidak ada yang tahu ya guys ya. Ini BTW aku main soliter kok kalah ya. Nah, itu dia. Main pinball aja. Main pinball, emang ada pinball bawaan? Di ini ada kah? Ya. Ada nggak sih harusnya? Nggak tahu dah. Di Windows 10 kayaknya pada dihilang-hilangin dah. Tapi nggak tahu ya. Ini ngapa lagi cicak pada tabur di monitorku, Cok? Woi. Dari aku SD selalu ada pinball sih. Nggak tahu sih. Kan kalau kamu SD kan. Oh, ini dia. Astaga. Sip, berkelas. Lah, nggak ada J-nya ya? Ada J nggak ada key. Buat apa? 3, 4, 4-nya nggak ada.
Fight for ultimate glory starts now.
Di Roji temanku ada. Oh, nanti coba pinball. Pinball kan ya? Bentar, nanti habis ini coba. Tapi nggak tahu ya emang ada atau dari Steam. Ya bisa jadi dari Steam.
Sometimes you'll always just make it to a certain point.
Bisa jadi dari Steam lah.
You'll be stuck there for quite some time up until you find the next level to make it past that, onto the next, up until you finally achieve your dreams. That's the story of CFU and Fnatic Onyx Philippines in their regional leagues in Cambodia and the Philippines respectively. Now they meet on the world stage. Renmar Santa Cruz still here. My name is Renmar. Well, you can call me Renmar. Still with Leo, still with Gideon Q for this very interesting matchup that will happen between Cambodia and the Philippines. The respective champions to potentially make it into the 2-0 bracket. Before any of that, where are my pandas?
Hadir, welcome Mang Panjul.
We ate all of it.
It's gone now.
Gone now, no more.
Fuel your game with Hello Panda. Crunchy biscuits filled with creamy chocolate. The ultimate snack to keep you energized. Level up your day and visit Hello Panda's website for more. I love you, Hello Panda.
Onang diomelin itu, Cok. Diomelin neckbot anjir.
Finish mine.
Yummy.
Hello Panda's website for
Diomelin
more.
neckbot,
I love you,
Cok.
Hello Panda, and I wish I had more of you. Because these guys just finished mine.
Yummy.
Thanks.
So good.
Ada Aryo, ada Wafi, ada Wawan, ada Pak Andi, ada Brekele. Welcome. Yang bergabung welcome ya. Welcome semuanya yang sedang bergabung. Yang sedang menonton ya guys ya.
Purchase the support chest for 50 diamonds to get a large amount of pass XP with a chance to obtain a basic M6 pass. Use the basic M6 pass to instantly activate the M6 pass to unlock additional pass rewards and immediately get Claude Challenger Spark skin. Great way to level up your pass right now to get that rewards, and of course if you want that in front of you. Just think about this, okay, the Claude figurine, actually Leo made a great point about it. It's you not getting one, technically you're getting two, because you're getting Claude and Dexter. You've never had that before.
Yeah, historically, like volume-wise, this is the most you're getting in an action figure when it comes to the M series freebie upon completing that pass.
Not to mention for at least those who have been collecting each and every one of the models, the base for this one with the flames around it probably stands out a lot more compared to the pillar, a block of wood. I mean, come on, it's an evolution.
I guess you could say that's
RRQ Pride, RRQ nanti ya tapi ya. RRQ jam 9 anjay mainnya. Masih lama coy. Ini kita restream yang ini dulu, yang main-main dulu.
He was able to get that prediction right, while Leo and I thought that
Masih lama RRQ
they
guys.
did dominate the early game until eventually SRG turned things around.
But it was not baseless.
It wasn't. Interesting drafts. You can go back to it, but of course, hopefully you stick with us now.
I've been wrong all day.
You have?
Not a single correct prediction.
Sekali ya kerja di blok ya Nang ya. Naik buatnya sekali ya kerja ngeblokir orang anjay.
Continue, let me count.
Okay, so it might be a curse. All I know is I'm like,
Ente dah.
4 out of 5
Ente ya naik buat ya.
Because of that. So let's talk about this one. Again, they have very similar stories in their regional leagues, but speed versus control is a good way to look at it. So the Fnatic Onyx Philippines Super Family showed immense chemistry in their gameplay.
Abis ini apa sih yang main? Fnatic Onyx ya?
The game with speed. It was your cavalry they were going up against. And
oh ya, Fnatic Onyx, wah seru nih Fnatic Onyx nih guys. Seru.
Fnatic Onyx DH, what's interesting about them is their
Fnatic
mastery over
Onyx,
tempo,
guys.
understanding when to tempo break, understanding when to walk back and increase the tempo. That's what makes them so flexible and why they seem so dominant in a lot of those games, because their eye, not only for opportunity, but their Emperor's eye, for those who know the reference, it feels like they see every corner of the map.
And that's made possible because of their immaculate micro. Macro might seem like their main strength, but if you really look into it and you study what gets them to those positions, it's because of how they win lane per lane, one-on-one, skirmish to skirmish, and everything else just follows. That's the most simple and yet all-encompassing way I can describe what makes Fnatic Onyx tick.
Alternatively, for Cambodia First United, CFU Gaming, they had to work for their series up against NIP Flash. It was a big backend with lots of rubber banding, but they proved that they know how to handle aggression with strong counter initiation. A key play that happened is that, just imagine this in your head right now. You close your eyes and listen to my voice. Just imagine a Joy teleporting back to base to defend, the Nolan split pushing. You're up against a chip, and then suddenly a chip portal pops up as you're defending.
Sabar-sabar ya Nang, di blok neckbot ya.
You go through it yourself, and you take down the opposing gold laner. That was a crazy play. Let's see if you pulled off. And the fact that they have a jungler who can think of something like that, I think Fnatic Onyx Philippines really need to respect the macro eye of things that CFE has.
I think a lot of it is going to boil down in a lot of them, in a lot of these interactions through team fighting, and I think that's where we're really going to see. Maybe CFU, if they have a lead, they will be able to push at least for not all the
Onyx
way.
win.
Maybe into a
Iyalah, kalau ini Fnatic Onyx pasti win sih ini.
Not gonna let go of the pressure.
Harusnya ya.
Even just a little bit of lead, they want to hold on to that for as long as possible.
Yeah, one of the things in my
Realistis
head
aja
is,
guys,
if I'm
Fnatic
CFU,
Onyx emang
should
se-strong itu
CFU
guys.
just draft a strong 5 versus 4
Cepu,
composition.
cepu,
'Cause
enggak lah. Fnatic
they're
Onyx
probably
lah
gonna
guys.
be thinking like, you know what, we can let go of one of our side lanes.
Tetap
Someone
Fnatic
from
Onyx ya.
Vietnam is always split pushing a side lane. The 4v1 team fighting that Fnatic Onyx Philippines goes for. While for CFU, they can honestly just look at the team fighting as you mentioned. Strong 5-man.
That's an actual question we can actually dig into. Like, it's a whole nother discussion. How to draft against Fnatic Onyx.
Yeah. And to draft against a team that's been labeled as a super family. Well,
Jangan lupa
maybe
di like
it's
dulu,
better to
guys.
understand
Yang itu,
your
guys.
opponent first.
Yang baru hadir jangan lupa
So, Coach,
dipencet
why not
tombol like ya
actually
guys
got to
ya.
share some words with us to talk about Fnatic Onyx Philippines. They built their bond together and accepted their past challenges, and they moved on. Their chemistry transcended the game. That is an excellent way to put it. Their chemistry transcends the game. FNOT are just that tight.
I think it's a really good look into what makes a team S tier. And most of the time they say chemistry, right? But what does that really entail? Think of your best friends, right? Now think of having 4 other best friends all with the exact same goal. Then you start really understanding each and every one of their movements. And when you're moving towards that goal, the small intricacies suddenly become important. These guys are absolutely obsessed not only with the game, but they're obsessed to achieve an M-Series win.
Obsessed to win as one. That is Fnatic Onyx Philippines. And Leo, remember, the times we'd be able to hear comms from FNOP, we thought it would always be so intricate of like, you do this, you do that.
Yeah.
No, it can be as simple as, yeah, I'm here. Let's go.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. How it's their micro that actually supports their macro. The fact that each of them know their job and each of them understand how the others will do their job, which allow for these map-wide plays that you could have sworn was talked about in detail, that they had intricate blueprints, folders upon folders of Coach Why Not and Coach Hayes' discussions, but no, it was actually all just, as cheesy as it sounds, the power of friendship.
King
It's
Kong
their
pas sa
bond,
Yunani,
it's your
beuh.
communications that allow.
Like 2 kali ya unlike.
Well, the power of friendship is powerful.
Iya ya, like 2 kali unlike ya.
History, man. I mean,
Like-nya 1 kali aja guys, ya 2 kali guys.
I think I can
1
be
kali
a
aja,
little
cowok.
bit more tongue-in-cheek with this one. Real OGs would know just how strong the power of friendship is in a tournament setting. So now, let's put ourselves in the Finns of CFU. How do we draft against Fnatic Onyx Philippines? Who do you target first? Let's look at the one way to look at it. Super Finns, maybe?
I would suggest against that.
Really? Personally for me, I would have gone at least, okay, at a bare minimum, don't let them touch Loi.
Tadi
That's
left kok,
that's one.
left lagi ini.
Second,
Iya.
I would say
Tadi
we
nyoba
learn
pindah
more
ke
after we
sebelah,
talk about
tadi
CFU.
nyoba pindah ke
Yeah,
sebelah,
CFU,
ternyata
here they are on
tidak ada
their
suaranya,
screens as we
makanya
put
balik lagi
in,
ke sini.
Ourselves in their Finns to learn more
Seperti
about how
itu,
they should
Kak.
draft. Let's learn first more
Mana ini
about the
8?
individual players.
With seeing OP, Z, Detective, and as well as Wadu, this has been a long time coming from CFU side. Obviously, we've highlighted OP before. He's done a lot for this team, bringing not only his experience, but also strong initiations. When he looks at the game, he understands. He looks pretty far ahead into the team fight. But the ones that I want to see perform this time around, number one, it's Wadu. Secondly, it's going to be Detective because they have an extremely important role. We've seen Fnatic Onyx just smash through with just these 2 roles.
Yeah, and for Fnatic Onyx Philippines, hopefully they don't get too baited into overfighting. CFU are great at that. That's what they did to win against NIP Flash. So now, let's see.
Kan belum kelar Kak ini.
Perfect timing
Itunya.
to be able to introduce about how to beat
M6-nya belum
Fnatic
kelar.
Onyx. You have to
Kita
look at
nungguin
Fnatic
kelar
Onyx
M6
and
baru
Face's
mabar-mabar
line
ya.
of work. Yes, Super Fringe smack dab in the middle, Monster Mage, the team captain. At least minimum. Take away the low Yi. But really, what makes him tick is the fact that, yeah, there's
RRQ
this
setengah
whole
9 ya,
4-in-1
jam 9
situation.
kayak
There's always
9.15.
one of them
Tergantung
doing
ini sih
something
gamenya
on
yang
the
lain
map that
pada
affects
cepet
the
nggak
game
kelar ya. Kalau
entirely
yang
and
lain
leaves
cepet
a
kelarnya
late
kayak
game
lebih
inevitable
cepet.
win.
Lebih
Who's
cepet
that?
mainnya
It's
habis
usually
itu
King
RRQ.
Kong or Kirk. So if you attack King Kong, you attack Kirk, you did what RRQ Hoshi did in Snapdragon Pro Series in the challenge, in the open finals.
Yeah.
You deny those 4-in-1s. You choke out Kirk, you choke out King Kong, and you make Fnatic Onyx respond when they're not ready.
All right, let's take a quick look at the M chat that we had with the Super Family. It's all of them. How are each of the players like? Keller says Brusco is pretty funny. Funny looking. that's a very Keller-esque answer. Kirk is easily irritated and shy, especially when girls approach him. He gets scared. I mean, just look back at the interviews of MPL Philippines. And King Kong tries to look Sigma, but he's a joker and a weirdo. Look at King Kong's response, Leo.
That's who he is.
Yeah.
Can confirm.
Keller.
At the heart of things, he's just a kid who's living his dream from Taguig City. Like, T-Town represent.
T-Town represented, of course. King Kong says, Keller is weirder and I don't look Sigma. I am Sigma.
God, really the embodiment of their team, truly a test and also a showing of a good relationship between the players, and that's going to help a lot, right? Because again, you've already mentioned that the communication is at the bare minimum, which means they have that third eye, that extra sense, that fifth sense, some may even say, when they're inside the game. So I think that CFU need to disrupt that. If they play a little chaotic, if they're able to kind of split them apart and don't play, hey, if we're going to fight, let's skirmish. Don't go for the full team fight first and then build off of those leads.
You could call it the Sigma sense.
The Sigma sense.
I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yeah,
It's King Kong who showed it the most, like his game IQ wherein, oh, look, it's a team fight. I'm split pushing, psych, we win.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I bet King Kong is just, you know, when he's recall spamming and taunting his opponents, he's asking, what color is your Ducati?
I wish I had a Ducati. That'd be really great. Let's get back into the topic that we had earlier. How will you draft against a team like FNOP? All right, it's not the Super Friends run. Do you have something that you want to...
I would say attack her. Choke out the Fove, choke out the Edith. This is what Aurora did in that Game 7 run in the Grand Finals. Steal it away, deny it. Make him play like these old favorites like Terizla. See how far his hero pool goes. See if he has a side lane Cho. Which he does, but, you know, like, are they ready for that?
I think, at the very least, EXP is a pretty narrow pool in it of itself. That means you can actually bleed these leads into other particular areas. Loyi obviously being one of them, but I think if we want to limit King Kong, you gotta limit his mobility, right? As you mentioned, that 4-1, the 1 is usually King Kong actually collecting gold, sweeping gold underneath the rug for his team.
So there's that approach. What about the... No, it can't be the cutter angle. It's hard to directly tackle gold laners.
So
Yes,
hard.
it is.
You have to tackle the rest of the map, right?
Agreed. I think that's just because of the way that the meta is positioned as of right now. It's hard to not only quote-unquote dominate your lane. We don't see that happen very often. And even so, I think that Brusco does an extremely good job at showing presence at the right time. Oh, you're about to go for a full engage because Kelvin doesn't have his flicker. Brusco shows up. What are you going to do about it? Try me. Try me. Step one. Take one step further.
He doesn't even need to wait for that point. Sometimes if he sees an opportunity, he will make himself known. 58-second first blood yesterday. Spent the flicker to get it, but hey, that was worth it for him.
Yeah. The
Emang
fastest
buffering
first
nang?
blood in M6 was done by
Perasaan
a
enggak,
roamer,
Cok.
and his name is Brusco.
Let that sink in.
So what if we go back to the most basic and fundamentals of all drafting, and let's look at the center of the map. He said no, this is Super Friends. Kirk could be a good possibility. So let's tackle the other frontliner. Let's tackle Brusco. How do you tackle the current pool of roamers right now? Because it is still so varied.
It is very varied, but there's a lot of correlations with a lot of them, right? For an example, when you're thinking about high loss, you're thinking about moving forward, slowing down your opponents, right?
Yes.
Take that away, and now mobility becomes an issue. How do you deal with that? With lane pressure. Every single time you think about support, what exactly is their job and who does it affect? You get rid of the Cho, guess what? You get rid of the front pick, as well as making the assassin jungler's life a lot easier in that matchup. So with their bans,
Turunin aja nang resolusinya kalau nge-lag.
want to provide in the game. Similarly to when we look back at the previous matchups, hey, they're banning out Alpha and Suyo coming in from Ulf. That just means that they have a plan in mind.
Alright, so I had to revisit something here. The MPL Philippines Season 14 playoffs. It seems like their approach, Aurora MLBB, to try and taking down Fnatic Onyx Philippines was to, number one, get rid of a flex. Weirdly enough, they actually tackled Super Friends.
Oke.
But again, it was a slightly different time in the meta, so...
I mean, it was slightly different. Slightly.
That and they put the they put the Edith on Edward.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's
So they choked that away from Kirk.
So here for CFU, let's see if their first, at least their first phase of banning will reflect that. They take away the Fanny of King Kong, and that's one Super Prince off, option away. They take out the Sin. I wonder if CFU might be crazy enough to, if it's open, from rush the low lead in the first two picks of the red side.
Possibly, but they first need to think about things like Eve. Oh, interesting. They're purposely leaving it open. Huh. That means at least at a bare minimum, we might see Lo Yi. Good chance we see Eve. Good chance we see Hilda as well. And with that Joy Band, all three are open to make sure that red side have an insane counter engage.
Yeah. And I think with Joy Ban also, that's Lo Yi Eve trade.
Oh, yeah.
We might be seeing here in the mid lane. First pick though, F not. Are they the exception to first picking Suyo? Because King Kong just does it so well, but now Brusco gets his Cho.
Yeah, because you can't take the Hilda, the Eve, and the Louis all at the same time. So something's got to give.
Something has got to give. Personally, for me, I think that it really depends on how afraid are you to deal with Super Prince's Lo Yi. And Lo Yi is really interesting, right? Because again, great in team fights, but the major issue is that you don't know when Lo Yi is going to show up behind you, side of you, flanking you from different angles here. So they're going to deny the Lo Yi, but still 100% pick ban rate in the Hilda as well. Two very big power picks for CFU.
Alright, so they are local enough to actually prioritize the Lo Yi in the first two picks of red side. And you mentioned the Hilda, Leo, it does pop up here.
Waduh.
F-Nob, do you quickly
Cowoknya
react and
Brusco
get
tuh.
your power pick? Do you get the Beatrix for Keller now?
A good way to respond to people coming through a diversion.
Oh,
Khalid
Lu
Suyo.
Luinya Super Prince diambil
Khalid
ya.
Suyo into this particular matchup, both don't exactly do too well,
Luinya Super
especially when
Prince
you're up
diambil
against
aja.
Hilda, but both maintain enough pressure to keep up with the Hilda to make sure that you can at least monitor her as she walks away from the lane.
And now, of course, it becomes the Suyo Alpha trade in the jungle, and now both teams will be, well, for Fnatic on the Philippines, no gold and mid yet, while for CFU, no gold and either roam or XP. Although, wait, are they going to put this Hilda in the room instead?
They can
This-
flex it.
They can, technically. They can if they want to, but I do want to see a Beatrix ban come out sooner rather than later. They get rid of the Granger, which is already pretty good. Granger's able to open up the map super easily with the Death Sonata at the bare minimum.
Oh, but the thing is now, if we're talking about the big-time gold laners, as we've talked about all throughout the day, Bruno, Granger,
Beatrix.
Matrix is the last one off left. Let's see if you can pick it forward.
I guess Gato is alright in terms of being an EXP laner to clear waves fast, but also having high impact in that game. At the very least, you could be like, oh, diversion, and then quickly throw yourself into the middle of the fight.
Yeah, it's also, I feel like a Khalid thing. I think I got to talk with a few players. If they know they have an XP Khalid, sometimes the EXP laner themselves would be the one to say, can we just take out Gato?
They don't like it.
Yeah, they just don't like it. It's not all the time, but that might be one of the reasons. The other reason is slower backline focused gold laner maybe for Kelra.
Well, yes, but let me get into the micro of it. When you use the not the raging sand, so the sand, you know, the tornadoes in the lane. If you once you hit level 2, he does the first spin, you taunt him, you clear the wave, concussive blast, you walk off, and then you have priority over the lane. That's the micro side of things.
That's why we decided they got that removal. Tigreal gets taken away. So they're looking at the Hilda. They're forcing the Hilda into the EXP lane, and they are just removing some key roamers here that could give trouble to the Cho.
Gold laner still at large for both sides.
Oh, where could they go with this? You just pick up the Beatrix here, right? You pick up the Beatrix for yourself, force Fnatic to play something that scales a little bit later. Harith and Natan both can go into this composition very, very well. And then look to final pick maybe Chip, you know, have double global presence.
Oh, thank you for reminding me that Chip is still hotly contested right now, honestly.
Hold the map twice. Fnatic Onyx still need to invest in a good mid laner though. I don't think these three are going to work alone.
Yes.
Are we looking at what? A Valentina? An Eve?
As expected.
Steal away the Bea.
Patrick.
I think if you're Keller, you honestly consider Nathan right now. Because if it's just a Valentina, that's not enough magic,
Do
dude.
you Veil?
Actually, Vale would be pretty interesting to see, but I personally think that Varsa goes really, really nicely because I don't think anything reaches the backline at this point other than if you diversion them there.
And this is one of the few times that the Aurora is actually open.
Yeah, that too. I mean, all of all of those picks do well as long as they scale, as long as they hold position over that mid lane, and most importantly, can you open up bushes safely without having to put yourself in danger? That's why, as much as I want to say Valentina is going to go great, because at least you deal with two melee heroes, you're still going to get one shot by a lot of abilities.
All right, they do go magic damage, but it's the Harith over the Nathan, and it's the Sicilian. For Super Friends. They were the first team, if I'm not mistaken, in MPL Philippines Season 14 to show up with the Sicilian. And now it makes a comeback here. They rounded off with magic damage, but the sword hanging over FNOP's head. A potential last pick chip for CFU.
Oh, would chip be enough here? Sicilion's damage is kind of scary, especially when it scales, but more so that Sanguine Claw, particularly dangerous to backliners, especially if it just clips with the edge.
Yeah, and it misplaces or displaces the Hilda and the chip. Like, you need someone who can cut right through to the back.
So maybe, yeah, it sounds like the Sicilian and Harith were picked because they were thinking of the chip in mind. So does this mean CFU swerve?
Do they have the picks to swerve?
I think the only pick that could help swerve them is probably like a drop or even... Oh, there we go. Another pick-off style of Cure. I mean, they're playing... Keep in mind, they're playing Beatrix.
Okay, Franco Beatrix, Franco Loyi, very Indonesia coded. Shout out to, if I'm not mistaken, it's Evo Sledges back in
Sama-sama kuat sih draftnya guys. Tinggal gameplaynya doang ini
this
gimana.
combo, but it's a Sicilian, and Sicilian's happy to go up against Franco. Ingan Naisu, can you please expound a bit more?
Thank you so much, panel, for that amazing analysis. I mean, looking at the lineups, I know this is going to be a banger. The Beatrix paired them with the Franco for CFU. We've seen it's a sort of similar style with Aurora a while ago with the Kaja and Beatrix, but this time we'll CFU make it work
Sama
up
kuat,
against
sama
a
kuat,
Titan. The champions of the Philippines, Fnatic, Onyx. And so far, what can you say? We have another Sicilian here.
We do.
Sama-sama bagus
You know what?
draftnya.
This could work in their favor, like we saw earlier today with a very long game. But ultimately, too, I'd be a little bit worried if the pick-off potential comes through.
Tinggal gameplaynya doang ini
Franco
gimana.
Beatrix combination.
Yeah. And as we enter the land of dawn for match number 7 of day number 2 for the Swiss stage. You know, the thing is, with the Kaja a while ago from Aurora, it wasn't as active as we wanted it to be, especially if you have a Beatrix up against Harith right now. So right now, if you're OP, you really have to be proactive. Make those, look for those pickoffs. Activate CFU Gaming right away. Give Sing the space that he needs, because yesterday when we saw CFU Gaming go up against NIP Flash, the moment that they gave Sing his power spike, the moment that they gave him a lot of space, he was able to pop off up against NIP Flash.
Oh, cowoknya XP ya berarti ya?
I mean, that's
Kirain
this
cow
point with
Brusco,
Beatrix,
guys.
you know, in that matchup against the Harith, they're gonna have to make something work here. Brusco, mind you, yesterday I think he had the record. What was it, the fastest first blood at what, 54 seconds? And this time around, still early pressure.
Oh iya, Khalid
Wanted to take
ketemu
a couple shots, might have taken too many. Won't be able to escape that first blood
Hilda
in
susah
the
ya.
hands of King Kong. Might be looking for more. Oh, Detective runs into the wall with the Cyclone Eye. Already a double.
Menggokil guys early-nya
That's
guys.
not what you want if you're going up against Fnatic Onyx Page. I mean, yesterday they went up against TLID for the fastest game this Swiss stage, 11 minutes and 11 seconds. And assuming that this game goes to the late game, again, they have Super Friends.
OP. Already burning the flicker, and you know, you make a good point here. And most people, you know, the worst person to give that early double kill to is obviously a jungler like the Suyo that really performs really well. Even down a couple health bars, they'll still go ahead and check Wadu. Wadu will be forced out, but this is now a position where Fnatic on the Philippines could go ahead and start this turtle up. Some of the advantage they've already built themselves.
And you can expect the XP laners to be as active as possible, because, you know, Khalid really activated first 5 minutes. He wants to disrupt as much as possible the rotation of the opposing team, give as much information as he can.
XP-nya
And
dikasih
that's
ke
the same
Romer,
goal with
guys.
the Hilda, because towards the mid to the late game, these two heroes,
Sekarang creep XP
especially
dikasih ke
Hilda,
Romer
almost
berarti ya.
becomes non-existent, especially if the turtle will be secured by Fnatic.
It's going to be secured. King Kong gets it. There's the Raging Sandstorm. Won't be able to find a connection, though. They're caught in place, and they actually just back off Kirk as well. Didn't expend it that way, the Dragon, so easy cuttings for Fnatic on it. They'll go ahead and just get that turtle.
Okay. Now Fnatic is on a roll, controlling the pace. This is what Gideon has been mentioning. They know they're masters of tempo. They know how to break, they know how to utilize the tempo, and so far with the 2 kills King Kong has picked up early on, they know what to do.
Yeah.
Brusco, the bruiser, clearly just zoning out CFU Gaming again, getting a lot of information for Fnatic Onyx PH, and this is what you want if you're going up against the Luyi. Get as much ground so you can disrupt diversion like this. But okay, OP's gonna miss with his Iron Hook, but it's looking like Super Prince wants to go in.
Super Prince wants to go for Z. There's the Raging Sandstorm. They're going to be able to pick up the kill this time around for Brusco. Good couple of shots from Super Prince.
Jelek,
that's the
jelek
thing we
toh.
expect when
Diversennya
that
ngapain
Sicilian
di
is
situ ya?
there. So Z, even burning the Purify in that exchange. Meanwhile, up top, Kirk will just go ahead and kick Wadu away. He's had enough of that. Kelra he'll actually be able to sidestep that. OP and Zing here both. Malefic Gun now picked up. That's the first priority, but it looks like just gonna go ahead and continue farming up.
Yeah, so CFU Gaming again, if you're gonna have a Kaja, a suppress type of hero, a pick-off type of roamer, like the Kaja or the Franco, you have to be as proactive as possible. You don't want your Iron Hooks to miss, you don't want to use the Flicker for the Bloody Hunt combination, just for the sake of that, just to get the pick-off early on at this stage. So OP really needs to step up for his team right now, but Super Prince with the Salmon Claws really being a thorn in the neck of CFU Gaming.
Yeah, and even a part of that, I'm wondering if they'll actually be able to contest this turtle coming up. They're just going to secure these buffs here for Detective. Turtle spawns now. Oh, there's the hook. This might be a lockdown they're looking for. Bloody Hunt 2. Taking out Brusco. Good response from CFU.
Nice banget buat turtle-nya, nggak ada roamer mereka.
Get in position. King Kong round the corner, takes the shot, has the information,
masih
waiting
bisa
on the
nyolong
rest of the team. Kirk joins as well, looks for Wadu, goes in, doesn't use the kick though, and that'll be the turtle for CFU.
Ditutupin
Able to
Hildanya,
find
coy.
something, it does whittle
Perkelas
down that
Hilda, ya.
gold lead a little bit that FNOP was building up, but they still have work to do.
And that's what we were saying. OP really needs to connect with the Iron Hook. Oh, kick!
There's the kick from Kirk, right into the blades of King Kong. And there's a shot. Z has to be careful, he takes another bad impact. But that's why Kirk, he held on to that Way of the Dragon earlier on.
And Fnatic Onyx again, speaking of tempo, what the panel has been mentioning, normally if you're gonna get a turtle taken away from you, you're just gonna disengage, regroup, and think things through. Fnatic Onyx, especially Kirk, wants to go in right away, commits the flicker, Way of the Dragon combination to make sure that they get the trade, despite CFU Gaming getting a kill plus that turtle.
That's kind of what they have to play around here, Ingan. It's really just the hook, and every time OP, he doesn't land it. We've seen this before where Franco, it's kind of, even if you miss the hooks, it's that one hook that can change the course of a game later on, but you also have to stop the game from just scaling out of favor. Diversion going to be used. They send in the whole team through. Looking to crash down.
Dibalikin bisa ini sama Haritnya.
As he's taken out by Z. Super Prince and Kalra still going to be okay though. 4 members.
Midnya hilang dong.
Focusing on the bottom side.
Mid tuker bawah ya.
In trouble.
Mid
As a
tuker
double
bawah
for Z,
sama
and now
kill.
Super Prince in trouble.
Oh, untung,
as they pick
masih
up
untung.
another kill. And
Masih untung, guys.
CFU
Nggak
now
dapet bawahnya,
taking
Cok.
the momentum. Just around the corner, King Kong and
Nggak
Kirk
dapet anjir bawahnya,
waiting
Cok.
patiently, but they don't want anything to do with CFU
Kalau nggak dapet
right
rugi
there.
sih.
They don't want to smoke.
Infa bira-bira
They
ge.
want the
Ini masih kosong-kosong. Tadi
Tadi
Liquid menang.
Kirk could be in trouble. Does get away, still has the safety of the turret.
Kan BO1 ini.
Brusco, but look at all the bodies here on the bottom side. And Brusco has to flicker out. The hook is actually going to land, and a good hook. Raging Sandstorm on the defense, and now Kalra joining the fight. Pops the Zaman Force just to cover. And Super Prince will help him out. Good thing Brusco stays alive. They trade the objective as the turtle, the last one of the game, goes to FNOP.
Rugi sih kebanyakan waktu di bawah sih guys. 2 tower hilang perbanding 1.
Wanted to go for a kill
Rugi
onto
sih.
Brusco. They did, however, expend his flicker, but the problem was Fnatic Onyx was ready for that, and they were 2 steps ahead because
Rugi,
they
Cok,
wanted to go for the trade for the turtle instant, and
Walaupun
they were
dapetin
successful
Kelra ya tadi.
in doing so. So right now, Fnatic still clinging on to that 2.2k gold lead. But the thing is, for CFU Gaming, they have a lot of entry points. They have the Iron Hook, they have the Flicker, Bloody Hunt, and apart from that, the
Masih.
diversion
Indo aman.
pace that Z
Indo aman.
at any given moment can
Liquid
give out.
It's funny
Liquid
because,
menang tadi aman.
That's an early winner crown, man, for OP. Has the rapid boots. He's got the speed and he's got the freeze as well. Look at the play though. Up here, the tier 2 was being worked on the whole time. And now they're gonna go take this purple buff away. There's the pull though. Brusco jumps on it. Kirk's already out. Kelra drops the Zom in force. King Kong takes the shot on the backside. There's no turret to help them out. They're still taking the brunt of the damage and they have to back off. As FNOP loses 2. OP with a flicker back after the hook. And there's the shot from Zing. Finally lining it up and takes out King Kong.
CFU shocking. Fnatic Onyx Philippines with a quick respawn to put
gitu,
diversion
anjir.
play onto their jungle, onto their middle lane, disrupting the plans of Fnatic Onyx Philippines. And again, OP stepping up to the
Gokil sih.
plate,
Langsung swing
connecting with
gitu
the
golnya,
Iron
Cok.
Hooks,
Tinggal
connecting
beda
with the
1k
Bloody
doang.
Hunt. And again, going back at the item build, first item Winter Crown. So you
Jangan
know
percaya
he's
Franco
willing to
untuk
dive
kali
in,
ini
cast that
di
flicker,
M6
Bloody
sih
Hunt,
percaya
and
Franco sih
eventually
guys.
cast that Winter Crown to evade a
Gak
potential
percaya Franco ya di
CFU
live-nya Kur
gaming.
doang.
All eyes are on the mid lane. Brusco pops his conceal. A CFU Gaming just really trying to get the upper hand here, providing a lot of vision, but look at Kurt, okay?
Tapi ini
He's
nanti,
not gonna make a play there,
wah
but he
bisa
does have a
bisa
lot of
kena sih
information,
itu.
especially coming in to the
Cecilnya
very
kok kira
first
pakai
Give
pakai
me
purit
information
guys.
that they
Ternyata pakai
need.
flicker dia.
This is the thing.
Kalau
OP,
kena
you know,
hook
he's-
mati lah anjay.
I don't know. That
Kena
Winter
hook,
Crown
kena
really helping
kena
him
hook
out
kalau
land the
nggak
hooks
di
that he needs
cancel
to
ya.
land.
Kalau nggak di
Now
cancel
Lord is up.
Bloodihannya mati itu.
Fnatic actually gets checked into a position where they can't confidently just go ahead and start this up and take it. You know, they really have to respect the fact that CFU has been
Jadi
winning
main
the
akun
past
cilik
few
nggak mas?
minutes.
Habis RRQ
Yeah,
nanti ya,
tier 2
main
was
akun
down
kecil
in
ya.
mid lane, but at what cost at the same time? There it is again. King Kong will avoid that hook. They're going to crash down looking for Wadu, but there's Kirk with the kick right on the mark, and then the Raging Sandstorm in the backside.
Langsung sadar anjir
They're
PH,
cut off
Cok.
into two.
Problemnya di Franco
Brusco
doang
will
nih.
heal back up, and Detective gets taken out.
Nah kan,
A great
Franco yang
team
dimakan
fight
dulu Cok.
from FNOP, and now
Langsung
the
sadar
Lord
gitu anjay PH.
on their sights for the taking.
Just
Berkelas
like
sih
that,
PH.
Fnatic once again back on top, back on full control. Will get an uncontested Lord for the
Problemnya di
taking.
Franco Cok, langsung dimakan
And
gitu
this is what
Franconya anjay.
happens when the Iron Hook is already casted. King Kong was able to evade that. That's why CFU Gaming, they had no initiation during that time. They had no time to diversion out of the play. And Fnatic
Aku nanti
Onyx,
ada akun aman.
they were just on the chase. Brusco, I mean, casting the Raging Sandstorm to make sure that CFU Gaming cannot retreat. And at the same time, Kurt with legit can do flicker combination to make sure that they get the necessary kills that they need for CFU Gaming to not contest for this Lord anymore. And looking at the goal difference, 8.1k for Kelra, clearly having a good time with this Harith. But the problem is Kelra's not the main problem. It's going to be Super Prince. Later, it's Super Prince now. So CFU Gaming, they really have to go for the backline and make sure to contain Super Prince.
This is insane too. King Kong level 15, the Detectives level 11. I mean, they're going to clear out this floor just fine. But Kirk goes in with a kick again, the way the Dragon right on the mark on Wadu.
Udah siapa aja di depan makan
In
sini.
an instance, and that's the overload of damage that this lineup from FNOP gives. They won't get to the base turrets just yet. Looks like CFU will be able to hold on to the shields unless they put the pressure in this mid lane, just trying to get the shields down. Not sure if they're able to, they do dodge that hook. So that might be all they get. Still eyes up here on the top side from FNOP to get that tier 2 down.
Okay, so now it's in the hands of Z. OP, I mean, he's been connecting with the Iron Hooks, connecting with the Bloody Hunt. And this time they really need to have a beautiful diversion play. Might be to contest for the second Lord, might be to catch Fnatic Onyx PH off guard when they're going to get the purple buff like this potential play.
All right, they're going to be seen. And, you know, Ian, I think that's what CFU has to do. You know, they've done relatively well throughout the mid to late game transition of this game, but I think now they've got to really rely on the diversion use. They've got to be able to go ahead and maybe pull a surprise on Fnatic Onyx Philippines through this, because you're seeing it, just like we got a preview earlier. There's the stat count for Super Prince right now. So you got 207.
Yeah, and we just clarified a while ago during the at the backstage at the Talent Lounge that there's no cap when it comes to the stacks of the Sicilian. So if this game goes to a really long game, it's gonna be beneficial actually for the side of Fnatic Onyx Philippines. But with a 4.5k gold lead, I don't think this will even reach the late game with how Fnatic is playing right now, unless we go back to your point. Z performs a phenomenal diversion play, catch Super Prince off guard. Again, it's a suppress Bloody Hunt from OP. And if he manages to get Super Prince or even just Kelra, Fnatic Onyx can actually they can actually force Fnatic on it to back away and eventually get the Lord for themselves. And looking at the item builds, there's a Malefic Gun, Sea Helper for Sing. So in terms of damage, physical damage,
Iya, Cecil dipakai banget
they can
itu
actually
di
make a
M-Series.
potential burst play, especially if OP again catches someone with his
Cecil
item.
di buff kan kemarin itu.
It's gonna have to.
Makanya
This
dipakai
time
terus
around,
dia.
they're gonna set up around this Lord. There's a concealed Brusco, gives him the information. Wadu again at the front of it all. The Lord's gonna be taken, and CFU tries to take it. Detective will be able to secure the Lord, but who's gonna win the fight? Wadu in trouble, he goes down. The trade already, the 1 for 2, but Kirk on the hunt, looking for it, flickers in. There's the kick, but the diversion will save him. They get back to base with a crown there, and now FNUP has to clear out the Lord. Good usage, though, to stay alive for CFU. But FNUP, how are they going to play around this? They have 4 members ready to go ahead and push in.
Detective got left behind with that diversion play. He became the sacrificial lamb for CFU Gaming. That's why CFU, they weren't able to utilize the Lord at
Kelas banget, iya anjir,
easily
kelas
burst
banget,
it down, and now they have to watch out for the range that Super Prince has been
Franco-nya
showing
sih
with the
horor
Samurai
gitu
Claws,
anjir.
with the Bats impact,
Penyelamatan
especially
gemilang
at
dia
this
anjir.
point in the
Untung
game.
pas itu.
Already has 200 plus stacks
Kena
with the Bats
kicknya
impact,
pas
and it's
pas
gonna
masih
be
di
crucial for
version
CFU
itu.
Gaming
Masih
to
di
get the
tele.
necessary pickoffs that they need. OP once again needs to find the proper target.
Kalau nggak pas
Super
di telenya
Prince,
sih tadi
Kelra,
mati
King
itu, Cok.
Kong, King Kong
Bad
whenever
pick-nya.
there's a neutral objective like the Lord for the taking. And at this point, Fnatic on the Philippines, 5K, they're just really waiting for that Lord once again before they end this game. But there's the diversion play. Are they gonna commit though?
Diversion again, right into Brusco's arms, locked down too, but they're gonna fight anyway.
Sumpah kelas banget itu
Going
Loi,
out of
anjir.
picture as well. Super Prince firing off from the backside.
Aduh, diganyang Kelra ini mah.
Speeds and the bad impacts are too much to handle. Super Prince and King Kong will get the wipeout.
End lah ini.
The two of them will march down
Satu
the
move
mid
doang,
lane,
Cok.
and it's way too long for the rest of these death timers to come up. They march in with the minions. The mid turret's gonna go down. They should have enough clear to go ahead and close out the game as King Kong and Super Prince will cap out this best of 1 against CFU Gaming.
The Super Family once again reigns supreme. Despite the unexpected diversion play, despite the pickoff onto Brusco, you cannot count out the mechanics, the Sicilian of Super Prince, one of the most unsung heroes in this M series.
Anjir,
What a
langsung
huge
all in
win
gitu
for
anjir.
Fnatic,
Kayak nothing
going
tulus
up
gitu, Cok.
2-0
Satu momen
in
doang
standings,
anjir.
Naisu.
Kelar.
I mean, do you expect CFU though to be this aggressive, to go head to head with Fnatic on it? Because this was quite a close match, and I'm just really excited what the panel has to say for this phenomenal performance, this phenomenal game. Panel, take it away.
Again, the first Sicilian in MPL Philippines Season 4 team to leave a lasting mark, and he brings it to the world stage. Hell of a performance by the Prince of Darkness,
Monster Mage.
the Monster Mage.
Really good stuff based on what we've seen. However, I will say at least AFU, despite having a difficult comp, again, most people would have expected, oh yeah, it's unplayable, right? Every hook that you land, if it's not a priority target, it ain't worth it. You bloody hunt anybody, it's gonna get cancelled out, no problem. OP straight away, didn't even go greed out for a fleeting time, went straight into the Winter Crown to make things happen.
Yeah, you could tell from the CFU side there was a lot of respect from what they did in game, their rotations and their itemization. That you cannot take away from them.
It's as proactive as you can get against a team that drafted a lineup that they were very comfortable with, but just the same is experimental enough that you'll have to temper your expectations. So CFU were juggling a lot going into
Tapi kalau tadi gerakannya bener, menang itu.
Later on, but of course, let's hear
Mereka
first
coba
from a
doang
member
itu.
of Fnatic Onyx Philippines with Rose.
Udah gambling parah itu.
Fnatic
Kalau
Onyx
dia bisa
Philippines
ngeratain
very
jam 9 jam
comfortable
9.
in the Swiss stage 2-0, just one step away from the knockout stage. And with me over here we have Brusco. First of all, Brusco, how are you feeling? How are you doing?
Mabuti kasi nagawa namin yung ginagawa namin sa screen.
Okay, he said it feels good because they managed to pull off what they usually do in scrims. Okay, now as we all know, right now Fnatic Onyx Philippines 2-0, and you guys are a force to deal with. Technically, you guys are going full force. Now, I have a question. What is the biggest contribution to your success this year?
Siguro yung number 1 na contribution yun, si Coach. Kasi siya yung ano, tumulong sa akin talaga nung ano, nasa baba pa ako. Parang sinabi sa akin ano, kaya man, may tiwala kami sa'yo.
Oh, okay. So he feels as if the biggest contribution to his performance this year is actually his coach. Because when he was at his technically lowest, his coach was always motivating him and telling him that, you know what, you got this, we trust you, just keep moving forward, we got you. So I like that a lot. Okay, Brusco, since you guys are the champion of MPL Philippines, and we all know that the Philippines are the defending champions of M-Series, and not just that, but also 4 times in a row. Do you feel extra pressured by your fellow Filipinos?
Siguro po hindi po kami na-pressure eh. Parang excited pa kami na ano, na kami magde-defend ng ano, championship.
Wow, okay. This is nice. He said that actually, him as a Filipino, he doesn't feel pressured playing on the world stage because he wants, it gives him the extra drive to actually perform better and hopefully defend the world championship
Apa itu
for
artinya
the
tuh,
Filipino
Arkemi?
team. Okay, last question.
Apa tuh
Personal
artinya
question to ha. Okay, now we both know that the last match of the day, you will have your ex-coach, Coach Ren in Team Spirit, and your ex-team, RRQ. Who do you want to get a 2-0 so that you can potentially meet them tomorrow?
RQ.
RRQ, why RRQ?
Mga ano eh, mga kaibigan ko yung mga andun eh.
All your friends, so like friendly rivalry also. Do you have anything to say to them?
Sana magkatapat tayo bukas.
Okay, he said, I hope to meet you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much, Brusco. An amazing performance from Fnatic Onyx Philippines. And with that, let us right back to the panel to break down what happened in this incredible game against CFU Gaming.
The Bruiser staying humble and already telling the world, yeah, no, we are motivated to defend the World Championship for the Philippines. Congratulations again to Fnatic Onyx PH. And yeah, going back to what we were talking about earlier, did test Fnatic Onyx PH at key times. But Leo, I think you and I both gotta admit here, that felt like classic Fnatic Onyx PH in the sense of, oh no, they lost the fight. But what is the opponent actually getting in the map?
Yep, that's the secondary nature of Fnatic Onyx greatness, their macro sense. The fact that even on a micro level, the fact that they're so adept at team fighting, they know even the limits of what their opponents are capable of getting, and they're able to, again, through the leadership of the Monster Mage, through Super Friend, say, yeah, no, I see where this is going, it's fine, keep going. And maybe there were 1 or 2 moments where even the likes of the Beast King Kong would look for more than he could have gotten.
Yeah.
Got punished on the backswing of that too. Understood that that wasn't as hard of a punish as possible. So this is just Fnatic Onyx playing to their style. Again, respect to CFU Gaming, but there wasn't much that they were doing to really test what Fnatic Onyx was capable of.
I think at the very least, it just goes to show that they have the mechanics at least to challenge, and honestly some really good ideas to make something that feels impossible very possible in this game, right? OP, for an example, taking that Winter Crown is such an integral part to their composition because they need to play around that Bloody Hunt, but at the same time, look at how greedy the lineup we see from Fnop's side. Super Friends must maintain maximum distance at all times. Why? Because he has a Flicker and not a Purify. So if he gets hit by a hook, it's pretty much game over for him, right? But then we look across the board. Where is all this money coming in from King Kong? And like you guys mentioned, the macro sense comes into play. We lose 3 on the bot side of the map, but we get 2 tier 1 turrets, as well as your top side jungle on top of your purple buff at the same time. And then we look to collapse later down the line, maybe even sacrifice another kill, but as long as we trade equally, there is a gold surplus.
Now that we're talking about King Kong, check out his boots of choice, the cooldown boots. This is going to come in handy when you're looking at the highlights. I don't know if you'll catch a few of these moments, but you see that he's so good at dodging key ults, so good at dodging Spears of Alpha, so good at dodging hooks from the Franco, because he uses, if I'm not mistaken, the Surge, tap Surge, right when he sees the hook coming in, clicking it as a tap, coming back into the fight with a hold something else. Definitely because of his extra cooldown and his just out-of-this-world game sense.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of our really tenured viewers would like us to point out as a panel. Yes, we saw those moments wherein the hook of the Franco would land, but the interesting interaction with that Suyo Blade Surge dagger toss. The moment that dagger is tossed, nothing is going to stop the Suyo from actually teleporting to it. So the times where you saw the hook latch onto the Suyo, but the Suyo still got to dash away, that's because the dagger was already thrown out. Great little micro-learning from us here because we don't see Franco often, especially up against a Suyo. So it's great that we got to witness it here.
Must have been something they've been practicing at scrims.
Maybe, that could be something they've been practicing, but also one more thing in his choice of boots. He could have gone tough boots if he wanted to, but opted not to and went for CDR, and that's just to compensate for the recent nerfs towards Suyo's side, increasing his cooldown. This makes him feel a lot better coming into the mid-game and more similar to where he was before.
Yeah, it makes him a little bit more high risk, high reward, but not with two very great Suyo performances under his belt. I think it's a little bit more rewarding for King Kong to actually end up with that hero, so that might be something that teams that will be facing off against FNOP in the best of threes in the 2-0 side of the bracket will look into taking out away from him. Excuse me, Super Friends, what the heck is that damage?
Yup, I was going to point that out as well. Super Friends, he's dealing too much. It's ridiculous what he's getting away with here. And at the same time, you would have imagined that CFU's
Mamang martabak Brusco, iya, mamang martabak Brusco itu.
But even
Berkelas
then,
gitu,
you
coy.
gotta give credit
Mamang
where credit
martabak.
is due. Space being created by Kirk, information being relayed by both Kelra as well as Kirk, allowing Super Friends and King Kong to make some efficient decisions on the map.
Not to mention Brusco. Brusco, in effect, kind of pushes them away into a place where Super Friends can say, yep, that's where I'm landing my ults, that's where I'm landing my claws and my feasts.
Yeah.
And my, the other one?
Bad impact.
The impacts. There you go. So if Brusco and Kirk are giving this kind of information, Super Friends is landing the damage there. If not, they suffer from Kelra.
World, this is Prince Miguel Ramirez, someone who has been often overlooked at home, now finally making a big impact for championship winning team. Still, for some reason, overlooked. But now here he is on the world stage saying, look at me, I am a monster mage. 4-1-12 on that Sicilian.
It's a stellar performance. Truly a dangerous force in that mid lane, and he somehow consistently provides these types of performances, right? Let's quickly look at the highlights here real quick, because again, you'll just notice that he is just doing absolutely everything right. Chunking out Z before he can even play the game, and that allows them to actually open up more opportunities. Look at his positioning here. Runs past two people and sets it up to ensure that he gets maximum damage while still avoiding alpha. Like, these moments keep going on and on and on. Nothing seems to get past him.
And I think we're also reminded as to why Super Friends, or excuse me, the Sicilian is pick that's often reserved and saved best for last, but it's gone so well. Remember, earlier today, we saw another iconic mage Sicilian performance in Coffin.
That's right.
From Twisted Minds.
And you'll see the same thing. Once the Sicilian knows, or the player on Sicilian finds where the opponents are, it just follows. That's the nature of the hero. The Bat's impact, after it hits, you get it on cooldown, it hits again, it's better damage, it's more pain. And looking at the lineup from CFU, we mentioned this, how the Hilda, the Alpha, and the Franco are going to suffer because of their range.
Yeah. The poke, the crowd control that the Sicilian can dish from afar will make heroes like that struggle, and even more so if the Sicilian controlling it is really difficult to catch out. Again, congratulations to Fnatic Onyx Philippines, and hey, I just heard something. We have our first ever big oopsie moment for the M6 series, M6 Swiss stage. What is that oopsie moment?
Which oopsie moment
Oh
is it?
no.
Oh. Wait, let's look carefully. Where exactly does this happen?
Okay, Detective gets a Lord. Where's the oopsie? Which was the oopsie? Oh no, it's the king, it's the king, it's the king.
Yeah. The build up and gone. It's so funny to see. You can see how much trust the teammates have in each other, and then the detective is like, I don't trust this portal at all.
Never mind.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a double-edged oopsie moment. Detective trying to get there, just Prince blocked him. Yeah, and of course, Kirk tried to kick the Beatrix out of the circle.
But the range wasn't big. Oh, no, I'm pretty sure the kick range was big enough, but the diversion,
timing, yes, the collapse.
The game logic already stated, yeah, we're getting this Bay out of here. And for a second, Singh was just standing there. For the rank was just like, I didn't expect him to be alive.
I'm gonna happen.
Ran back.
I mean, come back to Cho just going, what did that to the air?
Yeah.
Literally to nothingness.
Like the animation, you see the Joe just punching air, and I'm pretty sure if we go to the Bay, you'd see the Bay going, oh yeah, we're already in the base. So yeah, cute little moment there. But I heard some woos from the crowd. I feel like you know, I think a crowd favorite has entered. It's the last match after all, so that means members of the kingdom are entering. As
Oh, habis ini RRQ, guys.
Though they failed to capture the throne
Buset,
yet
cepet
again
gitu,
in
guys.
Indonesia,
Jam berapa
will
ini?
now go up
Udah RRQ
against
aja.
the Dragons of the North. Team Spirit has held on to the EECA region for how many years now? 3 solid years?
Technically, you can say 3.
Technically, you can say 3 because of the spirit of the knights within these dragons back when they were Deus Evolved. Banger coming up?
Oh yeah, big banger here. Kingdom versus Team Spirit, RRQ against Dragons. It's going to be a good one because both have been looking real good and real clean.
We broke PCUs yesterday thanks to the efforts of the Kingdom and their opponents. Now, Team
Sabrek
Spirit
baru,
fans,
sip.
RRQ Hoshi fans,
Siap ketua,
you guys are
siap
gonna
ketua,
duke it
siap
out.
ketua.
So please,
Sabrek
tell
baru
your
ya,
friends,
ketua.
share the broadcast and join
Terima
us
kasih
for
ketua
the
sudah
final match of
sabrek
the day in the
ya,
Swiss stage
sudah
as we come
sabrek.
back
Terima kasih
from
sudah
a very
sabrek.
short break.
Berapa menit lagi, guys? Empat menit guys. 4 menit lagi guys. 4 menit lagi RRQ nih guys. Game panas kayaknya RRQ fan NOP, iyalah. Tapi kayak bestie gitu mereka, RRQ sama FNOP. Sama nanti connect PL kayak bestie gitu, cok. Gara-gara si Skeler sama Deddy Brusco kayak kesahabatan gitu mereka. Akatsuki, iya ada. Dulu kan Akatsuki itu kan berangkat gara-gara itu kan, yang tim yang satunya itu yang harusnya berangkat, ada satu yang nggak itu belum bisa bikin paspor dulu yang Akatsuki itu, makanya Akatsuki yang berangkat. Ya bukan siapa Akatsuki yang harusnya berangkat ya, aku lupa. Pokoknya yang harusnya berangkat itu ada timnya Arab itu harusnya yang berangkat dia, tapi nggak jadi karena playernya tuh ada berapa yang nggak punya paspor gitu. Ini harusnya seru sih guys. Lawan tim Secret nih, tim Secret boleh-boleh ini guys. Tim Secret bagus dia mainnya. RRQ Team Secret harusnya bisa ya. Kita Indopret guys, harus mendukung tim-tim Indonesia guys. Ya nggak sih? Tim-tim Indonesia guys, harusnya kita dukung guys.
Fight for ultimate glory starts now.
Semenit lagi. Meiji. Ada mic-nya ya ini ya? Kira ada mic-nya guys. Triple. Nah, ini aja guys. Gini enak guys.
Kingdoms rise, kingdoms fall, and they rise yet again. Yet it seems like in the north, the rule of dragons is eternal. RRQ Hoshi, the kingdom, long may they reign, hasn't reigned for quite some time. But it looks like on the world stage, they're ready to make a big return. But the dragons have been hungry, hungrier than ever as the world seeks to be greater than ever. This match is going to be so epic. It's RQ Hoshi versus Team Spirit, folks. Welcome back to the panel. My name is Ranmar Santa Cruz, joined here by Leo and Gideon Q. Yeah, well, we want to see it banger for sure, banger coming out your way. And if you want to really smack dab banging awesome plays, Kidia. It's the gaming and esports district that unites gamers, communities, and fans across all genres and walks of life. RQ Hoshi and Team Spirit, if you're an esports fan, these are organizations that transcend multiple esports titles. So I think that adds a lot to the lore of this match.
One might say if you're a Team Spirit fan or you're an RRQ fan, member of the kingdom, it's a lifestyle. It's not just something you do when they're playing, it's something that you're actually living out. And these kinds of teams, the way that they play, I can say in a best of one, are some of the most value for your money, for your time, best of ones.
I think everybody has been waiting for this particular matchup here, and that's why it's always at the very end of the day that we're seeing these big bangers actually happening. And honestly, between these two teams, it's really tough to say who's going to come out on top. Both having really good showings in both of their own individual matchups, but at the same time, when you pair them again against each other, really, I can't really say who's going to come up on top.
Yeah, I mean, the Spirit Empire has been established in the EECA. They've ruled there for quite some time, but there's something about the Spirit of RRQ now heading into this M6 World Championship that just speaks of, wow, they might actually finally go in a deep international tournament run, maybe even compete for Grand Finals.
And I think this is coming off the back of their top 4 finish at M5. They went really deep, and I think if they do that again here, or close to it, they can prove that what happened in Manila is not a fluke. They can do it again in Kuala Lumpur and prove to the world that the Empire of Spirit is real and is here.
I think the exciting part about this matchup is that even if we go lane by lane, who exactly wins this, right? I think that, you know, obviously we're going to be looking towards EXP sides of the match, obviously with Kid Bomba being a big standout for the team, but at the same time, I think supports from either side also pair a very good argument to being the X factors.
Yeah, I feel like the EXP lane is a really great spot. That isn't a prediction, please. The EXP lane is a good way to look at it. With Kid Bomba's impact and how he has really been, how do I say this, respected, touted as one of the best EXP laners of this current generation by not just his opponents, well, by his opponents, rather. Different players, different coaches as well. On the other side, you have Dyron, who I feel like now, with the run that he had in MPL IT, is so hungry to finally get out of that image of him. And so far, I feel like he's had a good showing in international tournaments. I mean, they were doing really well as well before. Unfortunately, they got
Pas
a
9 menit anjay. 9 menit lagi, Cok.
Huge comparison would be in the gold lane between Skylar and the young Hiko. Is that not the best comparison? Is that the best juxtaposition between these two large entities from their respective regions, right? Because Skylar is now King Skylar, and he is the pinnacle of RRQ's strategy. Like, you activate Skylar, all is well. On the other hand, Team Spirit, I don't think it's such a safe strategy to put all your eggs in one basket, especially the Hiko basket. They need to rely on one shot, they need to rely on Sunset Lover, and spread out that pressure. So, you see the difference here? You see the juxtaposition of all in on Skylar, not so much on Hiko.
I mean, I really think that having multiple win conditions this time around is going to be a very important aspect of this game, because not everybody can play for a singular basket, and we've seen that RRQ, they play multiple playstyles over the past couple of years, and obviously Skylar being a large majority of them with next generation RRQ did decide to show up. Again, his marksman is known and is extremely notable for hard carrying games, but in a meta like this, it's a big ask for him.
Yeah, and especially one thing you have to consider. On the side of RQ, you have Skylar with a bunch of young guns. In Team Spirit, Hiko is the young gun, as well as one shot, but Sawo, Sunset Lover, Kid Bomba, that's 3 veterans on one side carrying or helping guide 2 young bloods. On one side, it's just Skylar, seriously, as the king, telling his young teammates to trust him. That's such a difficult ask.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Let's know more about this matchup. It's RRQ Hoshi versus Team Spirit.
If you are doubting our nomination at the Game Awards, this is Mobile Legends Bang Bang Esports.
Oh, we got RRQ Hoshi. There you go. He was so close. That's a scary team too. Oh man. Team is Spirit, but it's okay.
Para sa amin, mas magiging kami, maingat sa best of 1. Kasi sobrang crucial ng bawat team kasi 3 talo lang laglag na sa M6.
We just play like try to make less mistake and try to be more careful in game.
Any team can do cheese strats against any other team.
Malaysia, once early it was SRG, now it's Vamos.
Best of 1 is like 50-50. I think anyone can win.
Of teams stepping up.
You may see some crazy picks in draft, so it's really unpredictable, and then it will bring a lot of fun.
They were so well prepared for this stage.
You should go out from the first round and you cannot disrespect any opponent that you face. If you do, then you might catch yourself losing a game. Then all of a sudden you're 0-1. Then you play versus a good team. They prepared something against you. All of a sudden you're 0-2. Everybody's mental is down. You get out 0-3. Everybody's embarrassed.
Di Swiss format ini bagus karena ya 3 kali main langsung lolos playoff kan. Jadi pasti udah nggak ada yang kayak coba-coba gitu sih, apalagi BO1.
Ya itu tadi Team Spirit, mereka gameplaynya unik lah, mereka adaptif, di in-game-nya adaptifnya cepet mereka.
For me, it's friend like how to play micro and the hero, the hero powers and skill. I consider us, Team Spirit, to be the dark horse. It's not only that, we have actually got the power to prove that we can keep up.
We'll be able to capture a cut. But RRQ stay in form as they win.
you want to win, just win one game. Who knows? Let's see. I'm up for a surprise.
If you want to win, just win one game. If you want to win that one game, just be better. Better than great. Greater than ever. Wait, that was last year. RRQ, Hoshi, and Team Spirit. I like the link between these two, and a very important one is the coach. Coach Fred, of course, was with RQ Hoshi earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken. And, well, I feel like that gives Team Spirit this... Is it crazy to say it gives them a weird edge? That now, even though a lot of the members that Coach Brent coached isn't there, the one that is expected to guide this young generation is someone that Coach Brent coached. He coached Skylar.
It's an interesting take here because it could go both ways, right? Because Coach Ren, not only is he considered to be a world-class coach as well as an analyst,
world champion coach.
I will not deny his accolades, but at the same time, he's coming up with some interesting ideas during his peak, during that championship run. So that just might be what we see here today.
And I think we're gonna see something that was shared to us by Coach Fred. He's actually not a draft-driven coach. Contrary to popular belief of us painting Coach Bren as a master, unique drafter, he focuses on the gameplay, and he's actually getting quite stressed at a BO1. Preparation only gets you so far. That is so true. We've actually heard from a lot of interviews from the teams, especially who are now in the 01 and even 02 bracket, that it's so hard to prepare for a bunch of BO1s against different teams.
But luckily, I'd say Coach Vren already mentioned the solution to the problem at hand. He is a gameplay coach. So whatever happened yesterday, he can pinpoint, all right, boys, you can do this better. You can do this cleaner, especially up against a big opponent the next day, where we are today, RRQ Hoshi. I think the fact that he is more of a gameplay coach should benefit Team Spirit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wouldn't you say, Gideon, that sort of grounds then, like, instead of thinking of, oh my goodness, drafting, like, it's so difficult, you think about the gameplay. We'll get back to you later. Speaking of gameplay, here's a team that played really damn well yesterday. It's RRQ Hoshi from Indonesia.
I've seen the Kingdom in full force before. I've seen them rise and as well as fall. It's Skylar, Idong, Rin, Sutsujin, as well as Dairin. This team has not hit its plateau just yet, and that's the scary part about them. There are more areas that they can improve in, and they've shown that they can play multiple different styles depending on the scenario. The question is the mental prepared for this best of one? Because if they get too caught in the sauce against a team like Spirit, things can get chaotic very quickly.
I'm glad you mentioned that. You can't overheat, but I gotta admit, as nice as would say, RRQ Hoshi yesterday were pretty man-tapped. They were cool with how they were playing. Let's look at their opponents, the Dragons of the North. Team Spirit, Leo, I know you are a big fan of this team.
A huge fan. I've seen them through their Deus Volt days. I've seen them through their pre-Team Spirit days. And the fact that Sawo and Sunset Lover are still here, they've taken Kid Bomba under their wing, One Shot and Hiko, the young guns. I think their playstyle is evolving right before our eyes. With Deus Volt, they were very Divide Gaming. In their last season in MCC Continental, they changed their style. It's still very explosive, still very Kid Bomba-led, but I'd say just like RRQ, we talked about this, it's not just about the Skylar show. It's not just about the Kid Bomba show. It's not just about these veterans. I think there's a breadth of growth for Team Spirit, even in these best of ones.
And on the other side, of course, to help grow a young squad, you gotta have a great coach with you, or a great leader. So we asked the coach of RRQ Hoshi, how is Skylar like as a team leader? Kezcute says that the role fits him and he took up the responsibility too, because he is one of the few who built the roster. Oh, that's cool. He helped build the roster. So maybe Skylar had a hand in picking Rins, Idoc, and Dairin?
Truly, like a king, literally picking out his favorite sons to be able to say, hey, this is the next generation of RRQ.
I like how Coach Kezcute put it as, I recommended Susujin, blah, 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 the roster worked, and we got to M6. I like how we just breezes over their entire run. Blah, 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 we're in M6 now.
Blah, blah, blah covers a breadth of processes. Of course, we had to go 7 games against Liquid.
Yeah, and then even Skylar says there at the end, I choose them because we have the same humor.
It's not the Same thing with Fnatic Onyx PH though.
Hey, personalities driving together makes a strong team. The more people that you have who think along the same lines as you, whether it be humor, whether it be gameplay, it shows up on the game stage.
And that's what makes RRQ's templated approach, their macro excellence in a meta game that people would dub the brawl meta. That's what makes them great. That's what makes them a threat here against Team Spirit.
I'm going to also make an argument that the coaches play a huge role. Kescute, in this particular scenario, not only does he have to draft, but he also has to make sure that everybody is at their top, that top performance to make sure that the macro can be executed. We've seen teams, they've got the right ideas, but they just can't push it all the way to the end.
Veteran MOBA wisdom from Kescute, and then the World Championship gameplay coaching of Coach Ren. Even in the draft, it should be a chess match.
Right now, as we are in the chess match, RQ Hoshi, the Kingdom is on the red side. That's the Dragons of the North take the first pick. Fun fact about Sawo, the roamer of Team Spirit. He is second in total assists in M-Series history, 411. Next only to Oh My Venus with 561. Hiko is also the youngest player in M6, scored the highest GPM among gold laners in day one with 988. Team Spirit, I feel like their picks here, especially in the front line, have to provide a lot of zoning and a lot of spacing for Hiko and One Shot to shine.
Well, talking about zoning and spacing, Zushin is wide open for the first pick coming in from Team Spirit.
They go ahead and pick it up. By the way, Team Spirit's Hiko is 14-0 with the Harith in the Continental Championship. That is the tournament in EECA. So will Harith be opened by RRQ, or will they surprisingly maybe pick it up in the first two?
He's 16 years and 6 months old while having a perfect record on Harith. He is a young prospect for this team, and he's going up against a veteran who's been playing this game for a very long time.
Skylar grew before our eyes. I remember when Skylar was still a rookie, and now he's the right. Now he's here. He's the leader of RRQ in game, and facing off against him is Hiko.
A young, hot-blooded gold laner. But Skylar's looking at Hiko and saying, "You kind of remind me of myself."
I like a younger Skylar.
Like a younger Skylar, maybe. Let's see. Will they pick the Harith here? The undefeated pick at the MCC for Hiko.
Oh, this could be interesting because again, I feel like whoever wants to go for these power picks initially is going to get punished. So you go for the super safe ones. You're making sure that you have that combination down, but a bold claim, and Skylar's gonna say, "Hey, it's Wan time." One of his signature picks, but even so, he's made a name for himself time and time again. Even when you think, nah, Wan shouldn't be good here.
Alright, as we head into the second phase, no mid laner yet.
Come on Ujin, kasih paham gak sih Ujin?
I think
udah pakai suyo-suyo gitu, kasih paham gak sih?
This 1-1, we definitely need burst.
I'm thinking about disengage at the same time. Burst and disengage, a couple of things come to mind, and especially when it comes down to the mid lane, I'm thinking Aurora. I'm also thinking about Big Sana as well, both of which would do all right, because Yves is already gone, and that probably would have been the priority pick had it been let through the bans.
Ooh, respecting the Angela possibility still in the mid lane for RRQ Hoshi from Team Spirit. Interesting.
Yeah, between Liquid and RRQ, like that Angela X is such a big threat. So Coach Ren just covering his bases here.
I get it. Makes sense. So now, even though RRQ need burst, Team Spirit are still looking for respect. I'm thinking, are they going to respect that XP laner pick for Dyron now? Because I feel like they still definitely need a strong tanky front. Edith isn't a popular pick in Indonesia, so maybe they might default into more of the tank-heavy ones, sort of like the Terizla.
I mean, I suppose, but I think, you know, right now, Kescute is doing a good job at trying to pinch down on the gold lane, which is probably going to be the biggest problem, because if you're looking at Vren's side, right, as long as you're able to kind of deny farm from your enemy jungler, it's not going to have as much impact in comparison to eventually the scaling marksman that comes later down the line. Not to mention, there's not much burst besides the alpha at this point of time. I mean, Zushin is there, but again, she's not the quote-unquote
kuat sih soalnya kalau sambil record.
That's true. Ooh, low Yi.
Langsung nge-lag gitu aja.
Really hard focus on the mid lane here for Team Spirit. So it feels like Team Spirit are telling Arky Hoshi, let's fight. We want this to be an honest approach to the game. No one going in for any crazy macro plays. We'll see you in the objectives. We'll see you in the river.
Yep, they're letting through the Vex, letting through the Aurora. Farsa has become a more in-demand hero these days. So if you're looking at Team Spirit's draft, besides the Hylos, the Farsa would be fine facing off against an Alpha or Jushin.
We keep doing this. We say Farsa first, but then we need to remember that Sicilian is still an option as well. If you're looking for a scaling type of mid laner, that probably should have been the way to go. But now they're thinking about disengage. Now they have CC to complement on top of the fact that they've got a decent amount of lockdown, whether it be the Blade Surge, whether it be the G Kundo into the way of the Dragon.
So now Team Spirit are probably thinking about whether they'll keep this Hylos in the room or is it going to go into the EXP. Wait, you mentioned CC. I know you were saying crowd control, but what about CC for Kid Mamba?
It's not going to be good enough here, especially when you're blind picking it into potentially Cho or X at this point, right?
That's true, yeah. You still don't see the matchup.
Exactly. I mean, you're going to have to go blind no matter what.
All right, let's see what they'll give Kid Mamba or Sao. We're still looking at the flex and the gold laner as well. Arrit for Heat was still open.
Khalid's open.
Oh, Khalid, yeah. See what it is? Oh, it's the Akai XP.
Side lane Akai!
They've shown this. I was actually thinking about it because the 1-1's on the other side, and it's one of the age-old responses to a 1-1. You pick a Kai at some point, and here comes the Granger. But I like this glue by RQ.
Yeah, great response here. I mean, they were expecting to have an EXP winning matchup, and I think that, you know, Keskut has done a very good job here. Brent, very good idea with the Granger, because now Granger Zushin plus the Hylos, an extremely deadly combo, and you have disengage on top of it.
But there's a clear go for Dyren's glue. Like, he knows where to go. He knows where to find targets. 2 solid targets. Let's see if he wins the lane hard enough to do that.
A question for the Dragons. Will you be able to take down Skylar before he flies? Egan, nice suit. Let's go.
Thank you so much, panel. And I think the question, the answer to the question, the answer to Renmar's question, we'll find out right now between Team Spirit versus RRQ. And looking at the draft, Naisu, what can you say? First time picked Akai for the side of Team Spirit. Seems like Coach Ren has something in the bag.
Yeah, and it's right now, maybe it's a lot of the Hello Panda we've been doing all day, but hey, I love to see it, bringing it to this matchup. It's going to be crucial for them.
So right now, as we can see, RRQ Hoshi, the performance of this team yesterday was really phenomenal. Again, Edok, unstoppable, unbelievable show plays. And this time, he's rocking the same hero at the roamer. But we can see right now, Team Spirit, they're not backing down. They want to get control of the mid, and they can do so because they have high pokes, the Hylos and the Aurora.
I think with that too, the fact that you have, you know, RQ with a very, they can pick off pretty well. They can get tempo set up pretty well, and this is all what we've seen so far up to this point from them. You know, the whole Kings of the Brawl server, can they keep the tempo going? Can they set the momentum right away? That's what they go for. Even with a little early action just for the Lith Wanderer own, you know, keeping things in check. But I think it's up to Team Spirit to be able to go ahead and match that. And so far, they've done a pretty good job. I mean, just the preview we got yesterday.
Yeah, and I think for RRQ Hoshi, they really have to even things out. But look at the Sunset Lover already with the pokes.
Wow, there's already a lot of damage coming out from Edok. He's actually going to not be able to pick up the kill. But here comes the rest. Asawa will fall. First blood in the hands of RRQ Hoshi.
And this is what we want from RRQ Hoshi, an early start, early aggression. They have to utilize the fact that they have Sutsujin with the Suyo in terms of taking neutral objectives. Again, paired up with the Sever is going to be easy, but looking at the emblems, anything unusual you see right now?
Nothing too crazy. Again, you know, this, I'm waiting to see, especially for Sunset Lover, to be able to pop off on this Jushin pick that, you know, you would naturally think it's picked up, it's prioritized a lot of times, but also how this works with the fact that you also have a hero in the Akai that we don't see too often, but it is tend to be an answer. They're going to initiate a fight again. They get the flicker out though from Edok, so that's fine and good for Team Spirit. They're going to be able to start up this turtle. RQ Hoshi will get in position. They're waiting to get that orange buff locked in. Might be able to buy enough time. Dyren holding up the front. There's the lockdown with the Frigid Glacier. And Kipoma jumps on in with a heavy spin just to zone out Sutsujin as the turtle is secured. And now Dyren's going to back off as well. Good play for the objective from Team Spirit.
So far, so good. Coach Brent was actually saying that in terms of best of one drafts, preparing for drafts will only get you so far, but it looks like they prepared very well. Kid Bomba again with the Akai pick, last pick, clearly knows his job, which is to soak up the damage, try to zone out Sutsujin as much as possible, because you know you can't go head-to-head with the Suyo early on when it comes to neutral objectives, especially since the Sever and Retribution combination is there. But Hiko, on the other hand, looking at the emblem set, he does go with the Impure ratio. We can expect a lot of sustain coming in from this Granger. So he can go head-to-head with Skylar in terms of the laning phase, even if it's a 1-1.
What do you think about that matchup? I know we haven't seen the Granger too much, you know, it popped up a couple times yesterday. But hold on, I don't think they can actually commit to this. Going back to it, what do you think of the matchup against the 1-1, at least for this Granger?
I think so far with the emblem set of Hiko, I think it's going to be easy for him, especially if the continuous rotation of the mid duo will go towards that gold lane.
Yeah.
Skylar is really going to have a hard time, really needs to maximize his veterancy, his experience up against a rookie Hiko. And so far, you'd expect Skylar to really lead or to really dominate the gold lane despite whatever heroes is being used because of Skylar's experience. But so far, Team Spirit, it seems like they're not backing down. They have the guidance of the 3 veterans in the form of Sunset Lover, Kid Bomba, and Sabo as well, who is in fact, as mentioned by Renmar, the 2nd highest in total assists in M Series history. Imagine that.
It's crazy to think, because that statistic where, you know, Oh My Venus had what, like plus 100 on top of that stat, but definitely still working towards it. That veterancy comes into play for both teams really for this, but you know, still, you gotta imagine Hiko being the youngest player, 16 against a player the caliber of Skylar is definitely a true test for him. So right now, as both teams get in position, second turtle for the taking, couple shots with the Destinata here. But still, they gotta approach this carefully. They're gonna jump in. Dyren zoned out the heavy spin, the Frigid Glacier to separate them for the fight. Susujin will be able to get the turtle, and now the flare brings them back as Dyren falls. Not sure if they still want to fight this. They're gonna back off. RQ gets the objective at the cost of a life of Dyren.
Okay, I think Thieves are right. That was a trade they were willing to take. They couldn't get any much closer to RQ Hoshi. Again, the threat of Edok, Jit Kundu, as well as the counter initiations that the Rins can provide with the Frigid Glacier. They don't want to overextend as much as possible. So right now, they're just getting the things that they can against an aggressive lineup with RQ Hoshi right now. So far, not so much lead established by RQ Hoshi. Looking at the kill scoreboard, still 1-1. Man, Edok really needs to pop off like how he did it yesterday up against KBG if they really want to get a step closer to the knockouts.
I think either way, you know, whether it's Edok or not, they can kind of just take their time, really, with the lineup that RQ Hoshi has, especially with the fact that you have a 1-1 in your side and, you know, you want to be able to build up. Because later on, obviously, we've seen the Granger, especially late game, where the Granger in the gold lane eventually gets to. Able to set pace, able to go ahead and use that Destinata to its advantage, and then the Rhapsody. But I'm also wondering, you know, because you have to play against this Beacon and you have Sunset Lover on the Jushin pick here, RQ Hoshi has to kind of choose those fights at the right angle. Yeah, they can rely on a Frigid Glacier and they can rely on a kick to help them out, but there's a lot they have to do in consideration with this. Edok himself takes a couple shots. Go ahead and regen up. I'm not sure if they actually want to commit to this. The rest of the team rotating down. He does flicker defensively. They call it off, but he's dragged back by the Lantern, and that's what we're talking about with the Jushin.
Huge, quick response from Team Spirit. They did cast a glorious pathway, but it was well worth it. They were able to take down Edok. So this is like telling RQ Hoshi, hey Edok, we've watched how you played yesterday. You're not gonna do the same unbelievable Jit Kundo kicks, unbelievable Way of the Dragon kicks you've been showing yesterday. And now Team Spirit, they're on the verge of securing another turtle away from RQ Hoshi.
To start things up again, Edok gonna join this fight. Doesn't care what happened earlier. Finds the Way of the Dragon, but he takes too much damage as one shot picks up a kill. Fight's gonna break out of the mid lane. The crossbow of Tang already popped off. The Frigid Glacier will be to lock down one shot. Still looking for the follow through as Susujin gets the turtle and they look for more. Kid Bomba and Sawo trying to run to the safety of the turtle. Hiko jumps in with a Rhapsody and will find a Dyren. And the shot though in response from Susujin, it's a brawl in the mid lane. The drag comes through, and now the flicker from Rins. Skylar's still alive, and it looks like they're gonna disengage with Susujin tanking up the Rhapsody shots.
Literally a brawl server. They spent a huge amount of time just in the middle lane. Even if there was a neutral objective, Sujin eyes on the goal, focus on taking down that turret, and you can already see the problem with Skylar with the 1-1. They can soak up the damage of the crossbow of Tang. They have the high-lows with the Glorious Path. They paired up with the Revitalize, but Sujin though.
Good Soul Sever again. They got to be able to respect that damage, but ultimately no one going to go down, and that's the thing. They do get the tier 1 turret, so RQOshi has taken that path of let's just get these objectives. Yeah, they'll go ahead and fight out. They'll brawl it out wherever they want, but they'll also just focus on what's important. They got to be able to lock those down before that Lord comes up in less than a minute.
Yeah, for Team Spirit, they really have to utilize the early capabilities of their lineup. We've seen so far that the crossbow of Tang, even if it connected the Kid Bomb or to Sao, it's almost, the damage is almost non-existent. So at this point, Team Spirit needs to be proactive, needs to dictate the pace, needs to stop RRQ Hoshi from getting the space that they need for Skylar to hyper carry in the end. And all gonna boil down to setups coming in from Kid Bomb or even Sunset Lover with Lantern Flare. So far, Naisu, what can you expect RRQ Hoshi to extend this lead?
To extend the lead, they can continue to go forward. Dyron gonna get locked down under this turret. Does flicker out, able to survive split too. Look at all the members up here, all for Dyron. And now he's gonna wait for the rest of the team as they were focused down in the mid. They drop down the Glorious Pathway. Edok defensively gets out. Look at that push there too. There's the kick, Way the Dragon on the mark. That's Edok going down though in the exchange, and they're gonna get collapsed down. Double for Hiko, but Sao finally taken down. But the Lantern Flare brings a triple to the youngest member in M6. And now Tyler trying to pop off, looking for the crossbow of Tang as he gets the airtime. Picks up a kill himself, and RQ Hoshi will still hold down the mid lane.
Another extended clash for both of these teams, equal trades. No, Team Spirit actually got 3, but the problem is RRQ Hoshi with Dyron's time bought for their team. Skylar was actually able to push down a bottom lane turret. So it's still the clash, even though Team Spirit got 3 kills. RRQ Hoshi got the better of that trade. And now, in fact, they can actually start things off with the Lord. Again, Edok goes in.
Takes too much damage as Hiko picks up a kill. Destinana finding the mark on Rins. Rhapsody to follow, pops the passive. Sutajin will be able to secure the Lord though. And Kid Bomba on the run. Sunset Lover trying to chase down Sutajin. And Hiko is just popping off at this point as he picks up another.
Action is just non-stop. Both teams looking for trades, but again, RRQ Hoshi for the price of Edok, for the price of Sutsujin, they get the first Lord. They have a lot to work with right now, even with a 500 gold lead. Sunset, look at Skylar right now!
Talk about the confidence there, the veterancy showing. Skylar saw a kill, he goes and grabs it. The Lord is going to be worked on, but again, their focus is these turrets. They take the tier 1 out, now the tier 2 on the top side. RQ Hoshi will play into that first Lord take.
Wow, just going back at what Skylar said before, that he wanted to guide 4 new members of RQ Hoshi, first time M series. He wants them to guide the victory, and clearly so far, he's doing that. They're on the driver's seat, 1.9k, although there are extended clashes that sometimes go in the favor of Team Spirit, but most of the time go in the favor of RQ Hoshi. You can clearly see the veterancy of Skylar, the shot calls that this team is doing. 1.8k gold lead. Already no outer turrets in the bottom lane and the top lane. And if you're Team Spirit at this point, what can you do to stop the dominance that Skylar has been showing?
Well, they can utilize Hiko here as we get a little preview of the stacks he's got. And this is one of the things that can play a part in Team Spirit obviously staying in the game. It's nothing too crazy, you know, it's just a 2,000 gold deficit that Team Spirit has to work against. And if they can utilize Hiko's power spike, but this could be troublesome. Again, the kick gonna find the mark, in trouble. Winter Crown gonna be used already. One shot trying to stay alive, but Skylar pops in the air again, gets the airtime into the frigid glacier. They find a one shot, and now RQ will set their sights on the mid-tier 2.
A lot of ultimates committed from the side of RQ Hoshi, but the best part is they were able to take down one shot, and literally Edok was one shot away from dying, but safely evades a potential death. So RQ Hoshi, this time, even though they're committing a lot to those 5-man clashes, they're making sure the Team Spirit doesn't have opportunities to go for trades. And in 40 seconds, RQ Hoshi again can extend their lead by taking down a Lord, and this time They have huge control over the map, almost just really keeping Team Spirit at bay there by their base. And now, the counterattacks that RQ just keep showing again. Rinse, you have to commend the Aurora with the beautiful Frigid Glacier, with the beautiful Frosty Breeze, really setting themselves up perfectly, even with the Glorious Pathway, even with Kid Bomba's Akai. They're starting to have doubts if they would go in because of the counter-initiation of the potential of RQ Hoshi.
This is tough too. Skylar just picking up the wind of nature. Susujin also Malefic Roar. Big item picks up at this point. 13 minutes of the game. The Lord already started up, and look how fast it's going. I'm not sure if Team Spirit can actually get here in time. They fire off a couple shots, and the Lord already secured by RQ. Just back off, and it looks like they'll do just that as they get ready to go ahead and knock on the base of Team Spirit. And with this kind of lead now in their favor, Kid Bomba jumps in. Might have made a mistake here, still gonna be able to survive, but oh no, Susujin will pick up the kill from the off angle.
I was about to say that was the first neutral objective that doesn't have a post-neutral objective fight. But still, Team Spirit commits the flicker of, commits Kid Bomba's heavy spin to try and go for a trade once again, but RQ Hoshi was always prepared for that. And again, we have to commit. Rins, always prepared for those kinds of dives coming in from Team Spirit. Whether it's a Frigid Glacier, whether it's a Frosty Breeze, he doesn't care. He's going to cast whatever he needs to bring down the Empire, and Ida goes in!
Ida jumps in again with the Way of the Dragon. They fight into the Frigid Glacier too. He does fall, and now the base turret's going to be worked on. Mid and bottom already down, the top to follow. RQ with a lead, and the Lord still in tune. They hold on to the top turret. Oh, but the shot from Hiko will be able to find Rins. And that might have been enough to keep Team Spirit obviously into the game. And they hold on to one base turret.
Okay, so in terms of damage, you can already count on Hiko. He does have the Sky Piercer with 70 stacks. So clearly what Death Sonata shot was all he needs to take down Rins. Luckily, prior to that Death Sonata shot, the passive of the Aurora was already expended. So Team Spirit still clinging on to the final inhibitor turret up top. They can make engages. Again, they have the Glorious Pathway.
Iya, anjir itu udah stuck 80 itu harusnya.
One good take like that could do things.
Bomba jumps in again, Tyron the target. They're gonna fire off, and again, another kill for Hiko. Another stack added. And now they look for more. RQ on the defense, they're running. Even with two base turrets down, Team Spirit looking to make plays based off the heavy spin, based off the utility they have here with the lineup.
And this is the thing. This
Sunset Lovernya sih ini.
This is actually their playstyle. According to them,
Sunset Lovernya mati, Hikonya bisa ditangkap itu.
Looking at the current runs in the MCC, they're always used to
Hero Center
crawling
dulu ini yang
back to
dibunuh.
the top from the lower bracket.
Cuma
So in
susah dia
terms
ada
of
body
pressure,
fight.
Team Spirit so far is unbothered. Even Hiko has a slight gold lead up against Skylar with 13.
Hati-hati blunder, jangan mati satu-satu. Iya bahaya.
But at this point, does it even really
Rangernya udah bisa ngeratain itu
soalnya. Down again to the macro gameplay that RQ she can instill against Team Spirit.
This has been the story, especially with the Alpha, man. You know, it really falls behind in terms of farming. Oh, hold on, mid lane again. Kid Bomba gonna jump in, finds Rins, and Rins is gone. As Team Spirit finds the pickoff right in time. We're 10 seconds away from this Lord. And without Rins, I don't know, RQ Hoshi might have to second guess the fight, but they just want to duke it out. Gonna force Salo. He popped the Revitalize. Tyron jumps in, still has the Immortality, and one shot goes in too. But still, as they go ahead and size each other up, they'll back off. Skylar is still keeping them at bay. No one going for the Lord just yet. Again, a jump in from Susujin. They really want to limit test this, and he could jump in and start a fight. But it looks like they back off to reset.
Hoshi limit testing, just trying to buy enough time for Rins to respond, and they can actually do this because again, they were able to take down two inhibitor turrets, one in the middle, one in the bottom lane. So Team Spirit, they really need to capitalize on the moment that they're given right now. The window continues to open for the squad. They need a huge major pickoff that's like what they did against the Rins. And right now they're trying to start things off, trying to bait out RQ Hoshi by starting the Lord.
Death Sonata here. Really troublesome to deal with RQ in the front side. They're going to be able to push Team Spirit off of this Lord, though. They look like they wanted to start it up. But you got to keep in mind, too, they've got the two base turrets down. The Team Spirit, how they approach it, who's going to be able to start the fight.
It looks like it's going to be a stalemate so far. RQ Hoshi can indeed play the macro game here. A huge chunk of minions onto the bottom lane. They're going to wait a reaction from Team Spirit, but Team Spirit, they actually know this. They're actually trying to burst down the Lord.
There's the flicker in, forcing Hiko on the back. They were to use the Frigid Glacier, but one shot gets the Lord. Looking for the fight to continue on as RQ will run into the jungle.
Dapat Hikonya, mantap.
Sunset's gone, Hiko's gone. They lost all their damage as RQ Hoshi runs into the mid. They'll clear out the Lord and look for more as Skylar is unstoppable. And you can see it as they march into the base. The kingdom
Berkelas sumpah RRQ. Nice banget, Cok. Alhamdulillah ya guys ya, menang ya guys ya. Alhamdulillah, berkelas.
To qualify for the knockouts.
Gokil Lidok terakhir dapat Hiko, Cok. Wah, berkelas banget sih, Cok.
Performance from RRQ Hoshi. They lost the Lord, but they won the fight in the end by taking down 4, leaving Kid Bomba to fend for himself. What an amazing game, a huge performance, and a very huge win for RRQ Hoshi. That's why, Paddle, I need you to explain what happened during this game.
Jawabannya cuma 1 kali doang, Cok. 1 kali Hikonya kena N anjir.
The Kingdom
Berkelas kali,
takes
Cok.
the win and they go up 2-0 in the brackets over the Northern Dragons. And we got it. Banger indeed.
You do not brawl against the brawl meta. That's exactly what happened, and from the early, mid to late, RRQ Hoshi had something in their pockets that would make Team Spirit fold. And at the end, when it mattered most, even after Team Spirit scored their very first Lord, the final brawl.
Serem banget lihatnya, Cok. Anjir, rapi banget Cok mainnya, Cok. Anjir.
Look at Edok. Can he get that kick? And he tried so many different times, and the one kick that mattered won them the game finally.
The most difficult part there also for Team Spirit is that they were getting hella kills. They matched RRQ in kills. Hiko was 9-1 and 4, but they just couldn't convert to objectives. Before that, first objective is going to the stage with Rose for an interview.
The Kingdom taking another win in the bag during the Swiss stages. And right now, I am with Sutsujin. First of all, Sutsujin, welcome back to Malaysia. It's been a while since I've seen you. How are you?
Well, it feels great.
It feels great. Welcome back. Okay. Now, as we all know, before Sutsujin entered RRQ Hoshi, he played in MPL Malaysia, and I always interviewed this guy. So how different is it playing for the world stage this time around, World Championship in Malaysia?
I think there's no different. It's the same.
Do you still love the crowd here?
Yeah, it's the same crowd.
Still crazy crowd.
Yeah, still crazy.
We love the Malaysian crowd. Okay, now, Sutsujin, we all know that you are one of the junglers who actually use Fredrin, utility. But today you pick Suyo, while the rest, like Sakai's and Mobazane, pick Fredrin.
Yeah.
Can you maybe share with us what is the condition that you look for before picking, before making sure that utility jungle is viable for your draft?
I think Fredrin is usually picked with heroes like Bruno that need tanks in the front line, so like that.
I see. So it's more towards if the MM or the other sides, the other lanes can give sufficient damage, then Fredrin is a good pick. Otherwise, you will need more damage. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you guys are at 2-0. Very, very comfortable in the Swiss round, right? Sutsujin, who do you want to meet tomorrow? Between BTK, Twisted Minds, and Fnatic Onyx Philippines, because I've talked to Fnatic Onyx Philippines and a lot of them want to meet RRQ tomorrow.
I think I want to meet BTK.
BTK, why BTK?
I want to taste the Fredrin.
You want to taste the Fredrin of Mobazane?
Yes.
You want to see who's better at Fredrin? Okay, so hopefully whoever's doing the draw later on, the hands will favor you. Now, Sutsujin, we can see that a lot of the fans of Kingdom actually came down. What do you want to say to the fans of RRQ?
Buat Kingdom yang di sini maupun yang online, terima kasih yang udah support. Jangan lupa support kita lagi di match-match berikutnya.
Alright, he said thank you very much to all of the Kingdom
Kelas,
fans.
iya kelas, berkelas banget Kaira anjir.
Don't forget to support RRQ
Sumpah
in
satu momen itu
Thank
di
you very
luar
much,
wah.
Sutsujin. Congratulations on your win.
Anjir,
And
anjir.
that
Tapi
last
emang
right
dari
back to the
awal
pad.
pun mereka udah itu sih. Dari awal pun mereka mainnya udah objektif parah, Cok. Mereka tukar turtle, tukar kill, dapat turret, gitu terus, Cok.
Fight heavy game like that, we need to break it down. Jangan lupa when you have the 1-1 on the other side, make sure you have sufficient damage to make sure that the 1-1 won't be able to fly. That was my main concern for the draft here for Team Spirit.
And the only real source of damage was Hiko. And once Skylar saw, and I guess the rest of RQ, he set it up so that Hiko would only be shooting a certain tangent, just one straight line, because that's the nature of the Ranger. It was so much easier for Skylar to get away with it. What was his final? Never died. Skylar never died.
Never died. I think it's an interesting concept here, and I think, a lot of the theory is going to be boiling down to, oh yeah, a lot of the damage is coming out from Hiko. Somebody can body block. My second issue is whether or not I can actually close the gap and also maintain the perfect amount of distance to deal with Sunset Lover, which was the second big problem that RQ had to deal with. Their tanks suffered for a long time.
Oke guys, udah kelar guys. Oke, mungkin segitu dulu aja ya. Aku nanti break bentar lah guys, break bentar. Itu HP ku udah bisa sih, break bentar lah ya. Break bentaran, makan dulu, abis itu kita lanjut live mabar akun kecil ya guys ya. Kita mabar akun Epic Legend guys, habis ini guys. Epic Legend boleh lah ya. Epic Legend ya guys ya, oke. Sampai berjumpa di live berikutnya, bye-bye.